After you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the drains department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our drains department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Watching Utah's Money, brought to you by Trajan Wealth, your trusted local fiduciary advisors, TrajanWealth.com. South Korean beauty brands are betting on U.S. buyers. Reuters reports multiple brands are in talks with major U.S. retailers to make their products more easily accessible. The country was the third biggest cosmetics exporter in 2024. We were just talking about this. Meat prices are still up this year. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says steak is up 7% year over year. Ground beef is up 10%. Chicken up 3%. Ham is up 4%. We learned this hour pork is your best buy this summer. Uber is trying to attract an older audience. The app is unveiling senior accounts. The typeface is bigger, there are fewer buttons, and easier to follow instructions. It's also expanding pay options, letting users pay for rides with Medicare Flex cards. All right, let's get a look at your money at this moment. The Dow is up just 3 points. We're at 42,431. The S&P is up 6. The Nasdaq up 59. Coming up in just a moment, we have a new crash that involves a bus and multiple vehicles. There are lanes closed with emergency vehicles on the scene. It's starting to back up behind this is southbound I-15 at the 500 East exit in American Fork. We'll get a close look at that when we check traffic and weather coming up next.
This is Jeff Stout with Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple. News of recent layoffs reminded me of a quote from Bob Hope. A bank is a place that will lend you money if you can prove you don't need it. A periodic check of finances can prevent big problems later on. How much debt do you have? What are the payments? Do you have a rainy day fund? What would happen if you lost your job or had other unforeseen financial issues? Mortgage interest rates have been coming down, and there may be a window of opportunity to look at your situation in terms of a possible refinance and restructuring of debt. If you'd like to go over your situation, give us a call or take advantage of our quick application at 4minutemortgage.com. It might help. There's one way to find out. Give us a call. Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple, 801-264-9494. That's 264-9494. Or on the web at finkmcgregor.com, NMLS 289115.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Here's another satisfied customer of 3-Day Kitchen and Bath, Anita Bennett.
When I first heard about 3-Day Kitchen and Bath, I thought, there's no way they could do a good job in 3 days, and they must carry only the plain Jane basics in cabinets, countertops, and flooring. Then they came to our house, and we found out they offered top quality materials with tons of choices and lots of custom options. They worked with us to design a bathroom that was perfect for our family. They looked at our needs and thought of details I hadn't even considered. The installation was clean, thorough, and professional, and they were done in just 3 days. When we got back from the hotel, I couldn't believe the difference. The bathroom is beautiful.
See us on the web at 3daykitchen.com.
It's about time.
3 days or less
At 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
At Intermountain Health, we believe life is a circle. May yours surround you with insight, a healthy perspective, trust, and reassurance. The belief that our differences aren't that different, and compassion just when you need it most. Life is a circle. May yours help you live the healthiest life possible. Intermountain Health.
8:59, traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Heather?
We've got a crash southbound I-15 right at the 500 East exit in American Fork. It's blocking two left lanes. One of the vehicles is facing sideways into the left barrier. So traffic is pretty much at a crawl backed up to Main Street in Lehigh. Northbound I-15 has your next slowest, longest stretch of delays, and that's going to be from 106 South and Sandy all the way up into South Salt Lake from earlier crashes and pothole repairs. And then we've got congestion on the interchange of I-215 and the 201 freeway. Jared.
Great KSL travel times up here in Davis and Weber counties. No crashes or accidents. Going to take you to Summit County, though. I-80 eastbound just past Kimball Junction, trying to take that southbound exit to Highway 40. We still have heavy traffic in that area. And then northbounders on Highway 40 coming out of Heber City right before you get to that River Road exit. Heavy and slow traffic in that stretch. The magic has arrived in Salt Lake City. That's right. Celebrate the filmmaking magic and more at Harry Potter the Exhibition. It's now open at the shops at Southtown. Tickets at harrypotterexhibition.com. I'm Jared Auger in the KSL Traffic Center.
Beautiful day in store for us. 81 degrees, 83 tomorrow, 88 on Saturday. We're back into the 90s starting on Sunday. Right now, sunshine and 64 degrees downtown. Debbie Dujanovic coming up next.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour, a 16-year-old boy has been taken into police custody. He's accused of shooting his uncle during an argument in Riverton last night. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has details.
Police say the argument started in the home, then moved to the front lawn of the property on Homestead Lane near 134th South around 6:30 last night. At some point after the two made their way outside, Riverton police allege the boy pulled out a handgun, shot his uncle 3 times, and took off. Investigators say they quickly located him in Harriman and took him into custody.
His uncle survived. He was taken to the hospital with serious injuries, but police say he is expected to make a full recovery. A Murray man is facing charges after hiding in a trapdoor during a SWAT raid. It happened earlier this week near 5100 South and Murray Boulevard. Police say Shannon Ashcraft was trying to avoid police at the time. They found drugs and several large swords in the home. He is now facing possible charges for planning to distribute drugs and having illegal, dangerous weapons. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump is reviving and expanding one of his most controversial policies, targeting a dozen countries with a full travel ban. That means no visitors from those countries, no temporary trips, no permanent moves. Here is ABC News Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce.
The president says he's acting now in part because of the recent attack in Boulder, Colorado. An Egyptian man who overstayed his visa charged with a federal hate crime for attacking a group of demonstrators advocating for hostages being held in Gaza. Egypt is not one of the countries included in the ban, though the president is asking his team to review the country's practices and procedures.
The White House is expecting to face some legal challenges. Your money at this moment, the Dow's up 61 points right now. We're at 42,489. Coming up, a beautiful summer day in store for us. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's, and My Lowe's Pro Rewards members can save even more with limited time deals. Right now, buy one, get one half off select HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams primer and ceiling paint. Plus, get free same-day delivery to your job site when you order by 2 p.m. Offer valid through 6/13, delivery by 8 p.m., subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Behold, 'tis I, Queen Trustworth, sentinel for seniors amongst the knights of Scamelot, here to give thee warning. Scams and fraud are on the rise in Utah, and seniors are especially under siege. Be wary of unsolicited texts, phone calls, and salespeople asking for personal or financial information, and never send money to someone thou hast only met online. If thou hast doubts, talk to someone thou trusteth and get educated at scams.utah.gov.
Common Spirit Health has expert orthopedic care that gets you back at it and back to your best. Find skilled orthopedic physicians at Common Spirit locations who specialize in general orthopedics and repair of hips, knees, shoulders, and hands, so you can return to running races or chasing the grandkids. Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Orthopedic care with human kindness is here. Visit mountain.commonspirit.org.
This time of year, so many wonderful things are going on. First of all, there are graduations. There are many weddings. The list goes on. And you will be so pleased, and the person that maybe receives the gift will be so pleased if you include Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Maybe for a wedding luncheon, perhaps for a graduation celebration. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse at Hotel Park City or downtown Salt Lake City. They will absolutely take care of you and your group. It's time to make your reservations and gift cards. By the way, in that graduation card that you're sending out, how about a gift card to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse? Everything is always perfect. And don't forget, this is probably the most important thing of all, since I am a father, Father's Day. Don't overlook dear old Dad. He will love going to Ruth's Chris, that's a hint, Steakhouse, Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
We have emergency traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Here's Heather Kelly.
This is for Utah County drivers. Southbound I-15, 3 miles of almost stopped traffic. It's at a crawl as you approach Main Street and Lehigh down to the 500 East exit in American Fork. It's due to a multi-vehicle crash. Originally, 2 left lanes of the freeway were closed with the vehicle facing sideways into the left barrier. They have opened one of the left lanes, but the HOV lane and left shoulder remain blocked at this time. Hopefully speeds will start improving. And northbound I-15, you still have very slow traffic as you come over the point of the mountain and head up into the Murray area with some crashes spread out along that stretch. Whipple Service Champions, your cooling, heating, plumbing, drains, and electrical specialists. Whipple that away. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be partly cloudy with the highs around 80. We're back up into the 90s by Sunday. Right now, sunshine and 64 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Well, good morning, Erin Ryder. She's back with me this morning. Remind our listeners about your history here at Broadcast House and also out there in the real world.
Out in the wide world.
Yeah.
Well, it's fun to be here again with
Thanks
you, Debbie.
for being in.
So I'm an attorney here in town. I was recently the Republican nominee for Salt Lake County Mayor and was one of the co-hosts on the afternoon Inside Sources show from 1 to 3 that took place earlier this year.
Well, we're glad to have you in with me today. We've got a lot of things to talk about, politics, some non-politics discussions as well, and then a little mix of everything.
Dave and Dujanovic, special coverage of the top national story.
And it's kind of crazy how many things we talk about today do sort of parlay into politics. And I think this is one of those stories. Forbes put out a list of the 10 they're called new collar careers. I mean, if you've heard of blue collar, I've heard of white collar. These are new collar careers. They're not blue collar, so you're not really, expending a lot of hard labor.
It's not physical labor.
Right.
Yeah.
Not white collar, where you're pushing paper all day long. These are new collar careers. And what I love about this, Erin, is this list of 10, and we'll go over some of them in just a moment, pay a median salary of $100,000 a year.
Mm-hmm. And looking through this list, I was a little bit surprised because these are not, I was expecting when I heard the term new collar careers, I'm thinking, these are all going to be related to AI. They're going to be, related to cryptocurrency, like these new areas that are kind of popping up as new industries. But that's not actually the case. We're just sort of redefining what some of our existing jobs are. And what I find interesting is how they're looking at this. So they use 5 criteria to sort of define this new collar job. And like you said, it's the median salary over 100,000. There's no formal degree requirement, which is an interesting one.
I think that's huge in the discussion that we have been having across Utah.
Yeah.
That the legislature's been having, that higher ed has been having externally and internally, about what is the return on investment of college degrees, and if some degrees aren't giving students a good return on investment, or in some cases any return on investment, do we really need those degrees? And so, what these new collar jobs these are the jobs that don't require a college degree, which is another layer. So not only do they pay $100,000 a year, so 6-figure salary, they don't require a college diploma.
Yeah.
So I think when you talk about what Utah's been doing and trying to do when looking and auditing, these college degrees that we offer here in the state, this is really curious to me. So there's these jobs out there, and there's at least 10 of them that's listed in Forbes, and we'll go through those in just a moment, that don't require a college diploma at all. And it used to be, according to the statistics, that some 60% of employers would not even look at you if you dared to submit a resume without a college degree. And now that's reversing, where it's actually more and more they're leaning into, hiring people for the.
Well, they're just taking that requirement off the posting entirely. And so, when we talk about student debt, when we talk about all of these various angles here, now you have the opportunity to go make 6 figures and not have any student debt. Like, that's actually pretty significant. The other thing, I mentioned earlier that I was expecting a lot of these jobs to be in the world of AI or some of these new areas. And one of the criteria that they used for analyzing these jobs was that you have a less than 50% risk of the job being automated by AI, which is also really interesting. So these are jobs that are probably going to stick around. They're not going to be subject to, some of the dangers of AI automation. They need a human to do it. They don't require a college degree. I think I can see why we're sort of defining this as a new category, but it should be, like you said, here in Utah, we talked a lot about tech jobs. We've talked a lot about, tech universities and finding alternative paths into employment that still pay really well. This is one area where we could maybe put some emphasis onto these kinds of jobs.
Let's just put a pause in this just for a moment. Let's put a pin in this and get back to the list of jobs that are now considered new collar jobs. And we'll go over the list in just a moment. But I want to reflect back to when you were making the decision to go into law school. There was probably never a concern about artificial intelligence taking over the legal profession, I would imagine. But maybe there was some discussion, because I know when I was in journalism school way back in the 80s, computers were barely a thing. We were still using typewriters to type scripts after I graduated and went to work for television news stations. So, but was AI on the horizon or on your radar at all?
Kind of. There was discussion about robots taking over and all that kind of stuff. I actually took a class in law school called The Law of Robots, which was all about new technologies and how legislation is often very slow. Legislation is slow and technology is fast. And so there's usually a mismatch between technology that pops up and the time it takes for a legislative body to get around to regulating it. And so we looked at the interplay there and talked a lot about new technologies. We talked about self-driving cars and all sorts of stuff. And this was 10 years ago, within the last 10 years. So, AI maybe sort of a little bit, it wasn't a huge focus, but the conversation about new technologies popping up was certainly a discussion.
So let's get into the list of new collar jobs. These are the list of new collar jobs that don't require a college degree, offer 6-figure median salary, an annual salary of 6 figures or more. marketing manager, $160,000 a year. And this also shows like there's room for growth, not as high as some of the other fields, but an 8% room for job growth. And the AI takeover risk is I still think under 50% though is pretty, I think that's a little bit scary, but it's 39%. Just the idea that a bot or artificial intelligence, AI would probably be like, don't call me a bot, but a bot could take over my job and the risk is 40%. I think that still scares me a little bit. Marketing manager, $160,000. Human resources manager pays $140,000, does not require a college degree, and the AI takeover risk for that is only 24%.
The next one is sales manager. So a similar kind of a thing, right? Like you're leading teams to drive revenue. The AI takeover, you can make it about 138,000, just under 140,000. And the AI takeover risk there is 33%. So that's a pretty good one. There are a lot of these that are managerial positions, though, and I do want to call that out. You have a general and operations manager.
So you have to work your way up.
Exactly. You're not starting here, right? There's a health services manager, a construction manager, right? These are all management positions. You're probably not walking into this day one, but over time, you can get into those positions and make over six figures, and the risk of AI taking over that is relatively low.
Well, and there's this one too, information security analyst. This is the person that makes sure, you're not going to get hacked and the people on staff aren't downloading, attachments with some sort of, something that's going to take over, and crash the whole computer system. And that pays about $125,000 a year. It's got tremendous, I think on this list, it's one of the top jobs for potential growth. So that field is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, according to the survey. So you got the information security analyst, but the AI takeover risk on that is darn near close to 50%.
Yeah.
And I was surprised when I saw that it wasn't near 100%.
I know. That's one that surprises me that it's on this list, because I would think that's exactly what AI would do, right? Deal with information security. So yeah, that one surprises me.
So I was listening this morning to the ABC News podcast Start Here, and Brad Milkey, who's the host of that podcast, was talking to ABC News' technology expert and reporter Mike Dubusky. He's been on the show numerous times here on the Dave and Dujanovic show, and they talk specifically about computer coding jobs because, and the premise for this discussion was that you can now use artificial intelligence to help you create your own website. And I was like, oh, I'm interested in that. I've always wondered if I could create my own website, but I have absolutely zero ability to do this. They had us at Arizona State University. Again, this is back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth. So we use those like square Mac or whatever those. They weren't even MacBooks. What were they called?
Were they the colored ones?
No, they were just they were like yellowish. I don't know.
Yellowish.
If you went to school in the 80s and they brought these things in, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They were like rectangular and yellowish, and they look, I don't know. And so we went into this computer lab. It was really dimly lit. And I remember being in there by myself on a weekend, crying, weeping, because they wanted us to create, it was part of our assignment, to create a computer program. I'm like, it took me forever. And it was just terrible. And when it came out, when it was finished, I barely passed that class anyway. I was like, this is just not me. This is not what I need, what I will ever do with my life. But I've always been curious on how people create websites. And to me, it's a little bit like doing, I don't know, trigonometry or something like that. It's like it's just so far out there. I would rather just not even start to learn. But AI can now do that for you. Yeah. And I was listening to the Start Here podcast this morning, and they said you can actually go in and put in the parameters of what you want your website to look like, and it'll actually allow people to even scroll the website and that kind of thing. I'm like, this is super duper cool. And so so many people have gone into computer coding over the years, and so many younger folks are looking at getting into that as a profession, that was one of the professions at risk that could be taken over by AI. So I want to spend just a minute or two listening to part of this podcast this morning, Aaron, and what Mike Dubusky, ABC News' technology reporter, told Brad Milkey about, the coding profession being taken over by artificial intelligence, potentially.
You don't need to have any schooling. You don't need to have any background in any of this.
This is ABC's Mike Dubusky, who covers technology, and he's describing the newest way to design a website. People call it vibe coding.
It's a term for using generative AI to write code, essentially, computer code, the stuff that underpins apps and websites and basically everything in our digital lives.
The term was coined by Andrej Karpathy, the co-founder of OpenAI, the group that runs ChatGPT. One of the promises of chatbots is that if you ask them to do something in plain English, they will be able to translate that request into computer code, even if you're asking them to design computer code. Karpathy recently talked about this on his YouTube channel.
And so you're mostly just sitting back and you're giving commands. And the name for this is called vibe coding. A name with that I think I probably minted.
With no coding background at all, you can just describe to these systems, hey, I want a website, it's got a blue background, it's got this kind of title, I like this picture in this corner, and then underneath that, I'd like a scrolling feed of recent episodes of this podcast.
You're just describing the vibe of your imaginary website.
In natural language, right? This is kind of where AI really shines, is that it's able to replicate the tone and style of how people talk to one another.
He's describing a world where you can, with little to no coding experience, create a website or an app. All you have to bring are the ideas. And this is how the broader AI revolution is often depicted. Machines aren't going to come in with great ideas on their own, but they can eliminate grunt work. The narrative is these programs will free us all up to be more creative. But guess what one of the most quickly growing jobs in the U.S. has been for the last decade? Computer programming and web design. Just as quickly as people changed their lives to pursue this new career, those opportunities could be drying up.
Well, I heard someone give advice recently where they said, if you really want to make sure that you're secure in your career, learn everything you can about AI. And I think that's good advice because, at the very end here, we're talking about how one of the fastest growing professions has been web design and programming and all that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, here comes AI that can do all that for you when you just say, hey, I want it to look like this, move this over here, do this over here. And you don't even have to know how to program.
See, if I was going to go into the coding profession and I heard this, I'd be like, yes, but it's just that website is just going to look very much like your 3-year-old child designed it.
Maybe today.
Today, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just going to look super basic. It's going to look like something that Debbie D tried to design when she was at Arizona State University and barely passed the class and ended up weeping in a computer lab on a Saturday afternoon because she couldn't figure out how to make the thing work or the computer program to run. But I do think this Forbes story and this new collar careers, this list of 10 new collar careers, everything from information security analyst, which is at lower risk than some jobs, for example, of being taken over by AI, or health services manager, which works with, sounds like insurance companies and the medical field, very low risk of being taken over by AI. And pays over 6 figures as well. I think what this list does highlight is that we are moving more and more in a direction of 6-figure salaries that don't require a college diploma. And I think where this is going to lead is that these serious discussions that we're already having here in Utah about what is the return on investment. Yeah. If somebody is forking out 50, 60 grand for their college degree, at least, right? Could they be, looking at one of these professions earlier on, maybe in their high school years, meeting with counselors and getting advice on what these jobs are that don't require a $50,000 or $60,000 tuition investment and ultimately a college diploma in order to be considered for the position.
Yeah, I think if anything, it should tell people when you are evaluating professional decisions there are a lot of options out there, and professional paths. Traditional education, a college degree still has a great return in many ways, but I think you have to be more strategic about what you're doing in college if you really want to get that return.
And this has got to start much earlier. It can't start their senior year of high school when these discussions are starting to happen. I think it has to start as early as, let's say, middle school. Middle school, where you're starting to lean into, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And then meeting with counselors throughout high school. It probably goes on to some degree, but more and more seriously leaning into these jobs as AI becomes more of a thing as well. Straight ahead, Utah putting out recommendations for how much screen time your child should spend every day on a screen. Amy Winder-Newton, the director of Utah's Office of Families, joining us live in studio next to walk us through what these guidelines say about how much time your kids should be spending on a screen.
Jeff Kaplan.
His Minute of News is great. It's always entertaining.
I listen to Jeff Kaplan every day.
He gives you important news and traffic and the familiar voice that helps you enjoy the ride home.
I really like Jeff's Minute of News. He's calm and he's balanced.
I really enjoy driving home and just listening to what he's got to say.
Jeff Kaplan gets me home every day.
Join the community that relies on Jeff Kaplan. He has you covered. Afternoons from 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Discover the timeless value at Duke's Jewelers, a local treasure since 1948. Whether you're searching for a unique engagement ring or need expert watch repair, Duke's has been serving the community for over 75 years. It's the perfect time to visit and explore the wide selection of custom designs and quality gemstones. The skilled designers at Duke's can bring your dream piece to life, while experienced jewelers handle repairs and modifications in-house. Duke's Jewelers takes pride in value pricing, ensuring you receive the best prices every day. Need an appraisal? The Duke's Jewelers AGS certified gemologist is here to help. Whether it's hand or machine engraving, or redesigning old favorites into something new, get personalized service for every occasion. Visit Duke's Jewelers and experience the difference of locally operated expertise and dedication. Duke's Jewelers in Springfield, Utah.
Comcast Business is celebrating Small Business Month by giving you a $1,000 small business bonus when you switch to a qualifying gig speed package from the company with over 99.99% network reliability. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card. Like possibility number 1, company merch for staff. Styling. Or possibility number 24, the latest software. Upgrade. Or possibility number 192, new equipment powered by gig speeds. Or possibility number 555, a 3D printer. Rapid prototyping, anyone? Switch to Comcast Business for over 99.99% network reliability, advanced cybersecurity, and now get started with a $1,000 small business bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
And 6/22/25. New customers only with 2-year agreement. Other restrictions apply.
I am down 50 pounds in 11 weeks, and this program works. The pounds melt off. It's amazing.
I let go of 50 pounds. It felt unreal. I was so proud of myself.
Get in the best shape of your life with Soda Weight Loss.
Just 3 weeks in, and pounds are dropping off very quickly. I am down 26 pounds in 3 weeks.
Summer is right around the corner.
Your summer body starts right here because Soda's summer savings are on.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight without drugs, without hunger, and the weight stays off.
I tried other things, came to soda, just amazing.
I started on soda 8 months ago, and I have released 80 pounds now.
Summer savings, stunning results, only at Soda Weight Loss. Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Learn how at www.ready.gov. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Ad Council.
Social Security is with you through life's journey from birth to retirement.
As your life changes year to year, so do your needs. For over 80 years, Social Security has helped to meet your needs and is committed to improving access to the services that make a difference in your life. Today, you can verify your earnings, estimate your future benefits, apply for retirement, manage your benefits, and even change your address, all from the comfort of your home. Social Security's online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Let me ask you a question. You have a best friend? How big would it shock you if somebody told you that your best friend just killed somebody?
911, what's your emergency?
Someone on the other line said they kidnapped my son, and they're demanding $500,000.
On September 12, 1995, 12-year-old McKay Everett disappeared from his home in Conroe, Texas. It was a crime that shocked the community because the suspect was so unlikely, so unexpected.
Former high-ranking police official, he'd run for sheriff at one point.
Law enforcement personnel were pretty much split down the middle over whether or not he actually did this.
And to this day, McKay's mother, Paulette, still feels that justice was never truly served.
I've asked myself so many times, what in the world happened?
Ransom is available now. Listen at ransompodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story: affordable child care and education are some of the biggest concerns for women across the state. KSL News Radio's Verl Johansson has more.
The Utah Women in Leadership Project led focus groups all across the state discussing barriers girls and women face and ways local leaders can help them. The groups talked about topics ranging from education, culture, and mental health, something mentioned in nearly all counties, with many people pushing for more accessible care. The project's founding director, Dr. Susan Madsen, says one of the biggest issues mentioned was access to affordable child care, an industry she says is experiencing a market failure where businesses can't make enough money to stay open.
You can read through the full report on our website, kslnewsradio.com. Utah Representative Burgess Owens is voicing his support for Secretary of Education Linda McMahon. Owens spoke during a House Education and Workforce Committee meeting.
I want to thank you and this department and this administration for understanding that the power belongs to the parents, and we're going to start producing some of the smartest, wisest, and the most hopeful students in the history of mankind.
Owens also says he supports McMahon's efforts to remove diversity, equity, and inclusion programs from schools. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: President Donald Trump is set to meet with a new German Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, at the White House today.
On the agenda for President Trump's meeting today with German Chancellor Merz, defense spending, trade, Russia's war in Ukraine, and what the White House calls, quote, democratic backsliding in Europe. The White House says the European Union needs to make a meaningful offer to the U.S. that addresses longstanding trade barriers. The meeting today with the German leader comes after the president has threatened 50% tariffs on the EU, and the clock is ticking for deals to be reached before the July 9th deadline, when reciprocal tariffs would go back into effect. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Your money at this moment: the Dow is down 125 right now. That's 0.3%. We're at 42,553. Coming up, a beautiful day in store, and we're going to be heating up as we head into the weekend. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
When is the optimal time to file for Social Security? That could help you get every penny that is rightfully yours. Get the answer in a free report, your guide to filing for Social Security in 2025 and beyond. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions, who's helped tens of thousands of families get the most out of their benefits. If you've saved more than $200,000 and have not filed for Social Security, get your free report now by calling 801-251-1046. Timing, taxes, spousal benefits. This free report details the most critical things you must consider that could help you get the most income from your Social Security benefits today. Get this free report right now by calling 801-251-1046. That number again, 801-251-1046.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
We have emergency traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Heather?
This is still for Utah County drivers. Southbound I-15 at a crawl for 3 miles, a little more than 3 miles now, from Main Street in Lehigh down to the 5th East exit in American Fork. It's due to a multi-vehicle crash that still has the HOV lane and left shoulder blocked. And then occasionally some tow trucks come in, and so the lanes stop for a minute to get them positioned. So that's why you're still kind of crawling, limping along through that stretch of freeway. If you are northbound I-15, you might still see a few brake lights between Sandy and Midvale, but that is quickly returning to normal freeway speeds. Make your someday today. Start your dream kitchen or bath at Bedrock Quartz. With 18 months, 0% financing, visit one of 7 Utah showrooms near you today or bedrockquartz.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be sunny and beautiful, a high of 81, 83 tomorrow. We're back into the 90s come Sunday. Right now, we have 65 degrees downtown. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
You know, when I was raising little ones, Aaron, they didn't have cell phones back then. I didn't even have a I think I had a brick phone, one of those big brick phones. No access to the internet. The kids didn't have smartphones until they were well into their teenage years. But I love what the Office of Families and the governor's office is doing with these guidelines that they're putting out for parents. It's like a recipe for success when it comes to how much time they recommend your children should spend on a screen. And as my kids did acquire smartphones, thanks to us, I was always like, how much time should they be spending on it? So it was kind of a complicated equation in my mom mind.
Yeah, you know, I grew up in the 80s, and so cell phones, the internet was kind of just sort of becoming a thing as I became old enough to, care about it. And I did have a cell phone in high school, but I think I was like the only person who did, and it was one of those Nokia bricks, and all you could do was play like little snake games on it or something. In fact, one of my favorite things ever was changing the settings on my dad's cell phone into other languages so he couldn't figure out how to change them back. And anyway, but, you know, the idea of smartphones and having access to all this information all the time. And even the other day, I was listening to something on the radio somewhere where they were talking about rates of suicide and eating disorders and all of these things that are creeping up because young kids have so much access to information. And it's not always information that's giving them a good idea on how to live a good life, right?
And parents looking for ways to help control that without angering, I guess, their child. Or, they get to the teenage years and you want to make sure they're not sneaking off and doing it. So Amy Winter-Newton, director of Utah Office of Families, appointed to that position by the governor, Governor Spencer Cox. Good morning.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here.
We're thrilled to have you here. And I would normally start with the teen years because those are the years that my kids had smartphones. We didn't allow them to have smartphones until they were 15 years old. And there was moments when it felt like we were in battle. But let's start in the earlier years because when it comes to the recommendation, I'm looking at this chart, and is the Office of Families offering this to families if they want? Is it online that they can go look at it themselves?
It is. Yep, okay. Absolutely.
Let's start with the younger, like the newborns. You're saying 0 to 18 months, no screen time. I thought that was kind of a given.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're actually talking about this because we are starting to hear more from childcare providers, preschool teachers, and others that they're seeing kids come through that don't know how to self-regulate. Their social and emotional skills are lacking, and it's because they're worried that they've been given screens to keep them pacified. And so
even as newborns?
Well, not as necessarily as newborns, but at young ages. And so they're not ready for school. It's a little crazy. And what we realized is
most people don't realize the American Academy of Pediatrics actually has these recommendations. So we want to get the word out. We want people to know. So let me talk 0 to 18 months. No screen time except for video chatting. I have a 15-month-old granddaughter. I love to call and FaceTime her when I can't get over to their house to see her. And we'll play peekaboo and all of that. So they can video chat with people that they know, like grandparents, 0 to 18 months.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
But what we don't want is baby in a car seat, or I'm thinking they're probably still riding backwards in the car seat at that point, but with some sort of like movie projector on the roof of the car playing a movie for them. But the screen time or the FaceTime with grandma and grandpa is A-okay.
Yeah. And really it's because face-to-face interactions build language and improve recognition of emotions, and they help the children learn social skills. And so we want more face-to-face interaction. Now, 18 to 24 months, we still say limit your screen time, less than an hour a day. And you as a parent, if you're watching high-quality, educational, interactive, age-appropriate TV shows or whatever with them, that's okay. Then 2 to 5 years, we say limit to 1 hour a day. And your child still learns best when they're watching with somebody. So a sibling or a parent, and still make sure it's age appropriate and educational. And then 6 years and older, we say no more than 2 hours a day. That's what the American Academy of Pediatrics is saying. But parents need to make sure that they're getting adequate outside play and physical activity and social interaction and sleep and everything else to keep kids healthy.
So I have a question about this because I have a lot of friends and know a lot of people who kind of rely on iPads and phones to just help when their kid gets out of control or to keep their kid quiet in church or in a meeting or some other place. And I'm wondering, what do those parents do? How do they look at something like this and say, okay, so you're telling me I can't do that anymore? And also in a world, in an environment where I think parents can sometimes be nervous about sending their kids outside. It's not the latchkey environment of the 80s anymore, right? And where there's concerns about safety and other types of things. How do parents navigate this when devices are everywhere and sometimes you just need something to help you out, and so you hand your kid an iPad?
Yeah. Well, it's something becoming more common. And there's a great book out there called The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. He talks about how we want kids to have a play-based childhood, not a device-based childhood. And he actually encourages parents, send your kids outside. Let them take risks. Let them climb a tree. My sister was telling me last night, my daughter wants to walk to, such and such place with her friends, and I'm really nervous. I'm like, no, let her. Like, kids are safer than we realize. Like, I know we all get a little bit nervous, but let those kids have those experiences because that's what helps decrease anxiety and other things as they get older. And so, there's other things we recommend too. Turn off screens during meal times and family outings.
I love that.
Don't let kids have their screens in their bedrooms or bathrooms for older kids.
So one of the things that we did eventually, once we caught on to all of this, maybe 10 years ago or so, when our kids started using smartphones, is we made them park their phones on the kitchen counter at night.
Great idea.
I've said this before on this show. Our oldest daughter actually ended up thanking us for that. We thought it was going to be a big battle. We were going to be at war as a family over this. No, she said, thank you. I didn't realize how much sleep this was costing me and how frequently I was getting up and checking notifications.
Yep.
So she appreciated it. And then they'd get their cell phones back during the day when they were, when they packed them to school. Oh, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
So, okay, more tips. You've got tons of tips.
And when we're talking about younger children, avoid using screens as pacifiers, babysitters, or to stop tantrums, because then you're training kids that they need to have a device in order to calm themselves. And that's not healthy. When they go off to school, those poor kindergarten teachers, they've got a bunch of kids who are used to having an iPad handed to them when they are upset. Like, we're in trouble. So doing that. But you know what helps kids the most out of all of these things is parents staying off their devices.
I was just going to say that.
Because we have parents who are ignoring their kids and they're they want to scroll and they're doing their thing, and these kids are following their example. And so as a parent, the best thing you can do is set an example for your kids.
Yeah, that to me seems like one of the best things you can do, just because
For sure.
everything that we do, we're attached to a device. And I love the idea of setting aside your devices at dinner or at certain times when you want to be together, but the parents have to lead the way on that. You can't expect your kids to do it if you're not willing to.
We're speaking live right now to Amy Winder-Newton. She's the director of Utah's Office of Families. And Amy, I know you were going to run across the hall to Studio 5, but I'm just seeing a news release from the governor's office here. Just came to our email just a few moments ago that he's announcing Family Connection Week. Can you give us a 30-second to 1 minute update on what that is?
Yeah, we're so excited about this. So next week, June 9th through the 15th, Governor has declared Family Connection Week, a time to put your devices down and find things to do with your family. Eating dinner together, going outside and working in the garden, going on a hike, playing a game, whatever it is. We want to encourage this for families. The data is so clear still on having family dinners together and what that does for kids to give them positive childhood experiences. It is such a powerful thing. And so we really want families to take advantage of this. Be very intentional as you're starting your summer to put those devices away and spend time together.
Thank you so much for joining us, Amy Winder-Newton. And we are going to revisit this conversation. If you're just tuning in and you're like, wait a minute, what did she say? What are these guardrails that they're suggesting for families in terms of smartphones and devices and their kids? Erin and I are promising to revisit this conversation in our 11 o'clock hour.
Yeah, and people can go to strongfamilies.utah.gov to get more information.
Thanks, Amy.
Do you know how to tell if a clogged drain is something to worry about or not? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I understand it's annoying and inconvenient, but sometimes a clogged drain can be a sign there's a more serious issue with your sewer main line. If the drains in the lowest level of your home aren't draining, or you flush a toilet and it comes up somewhere else like a shower or a floor drain, I'm urging you to look at this as more than just an annoyance. The last thing I want you to experience is a sewer backup. If you're a homeowner experiencing any of these issues, the first step would be to snake the line to see if it's just a blockage, which one of our drain techs can do for only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Does your job require you to be on your feet all day? Teachers, postal carriers, salespeople, and restaurant staff. Many of us need our feet to get us through the day. Hi, this is Mike with the Good Feet store, and I'd like you to hear from Donna. She's a nurse and a real customer of the Good Feet store who wanted to share her story.
Oh, I have to tell you, I have struggled with pain in my feet. I was diagnosed with plantar fasciitis. With the 3-step program, it really fits to your lifestyle. I work in a hospital. I'm a registered nurse, so being on my feet, walking throughout the hospital during the day, I am free from any type of pain. And after working a 12-hour shift, I go home and my feet do not hurt.
Whether you're a nurse or anyone wanting to enjoy work without your feet getting in the way, come see us at the Good Feet store.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Schedule your free test walk at goodfeet.com.
See American Mosaic, Jenny Oaks Baker's outdoor patriotic show on June 9th. Right now, buy one, get one ticket free. Buy two, get two free. Use code BOGO. Tickets at jennyoaksbaker.com.
David Dujanovic.
Let's talk about President Trump's travel ban. I was at a family gathering last night, Aaron, when this story crossed. And I immediately clicked on the alert on my phone because I'm getting ready to travel slightly out of the country, but still out of the country. And I was like, oh, if I leave here, will I be able to get back in? It turns out the country that I'm going to is not impacted by it. But from that perspective, it certainly caught my attention right away.
Yeah.
It does not at all include some of the, like it doesn't include countries like France, or I'm thinking, Canada, or it doesn't include Mexico.
Although I clicked on it because I was wondering if those countries, if Canada and Mexico were suddenly going to be on that list.
Me too. Is that what you thought?
Well, I was
because of the tariff wars.
Well, maybe, right? But I clicked on it immediately, thinking, "Oh, where are the countries? Like, is this the travel ban of Trump's first term, or is this a new travel ban based on tariffs and based on other foreign relation issues?"
So there are 12 countries. I think there were a couple additional countries beyond these 12. That appeared on the list of bans. Do you happen to have that list in front of you there?
Yeah,
Okay,
so the new
let's read 'em.
ban includes Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, the Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. And then there are also heightened restrictions on visitors from Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela.
Okay. Let's listen to the latest ABC News report from Christian Corrado in just a moment. But then on the other side of this, once I cue this up, let's come back out and talk about what we think the impact of this is ultimately going to mean.
President Trump's new travel ban affects a dozen countries. His new order will take effect Monday. He's banning visitors from 12 countries, including Haiti, Afghanistan, Yemen, and several African countries, citing national security concerns. Trump directly links these new travel restrictions to Sunday's attack on a Jewish community gathering in Boulder, Colorado, where officials say a man in the U.S. illegally firebombed the crowd, injuring 15 people.
So, okay, here's my issue with this, Debbie. If we're linking this to the attack in Boulder, Colorado, which was horrific and terrible and should be condemned in every possible way, that guy was from Egypt. Guess which country is not on this list? Egypt. Yeah. So
and I also heard this morning when I was listening to ABC News' Start Here podcast that this is something that has been in the works for several months.
I'm sure.
It's not just a list that they dropped by executive order yesterday, that this has actually been, there had been countries that were added to the list and then taken off the list. It was a work in progress. Then he announced it yesterday. But I also heard what you just stated about the Boulder firebombing, that what you just said, that the individual was from Egypt, and Egypt is not on this list. Although maybe one day it'll find itself on this list.
Yeah.
We don't know that yet. We don't know that But when I looked at this list, I guess what I thought was why and who will be impacted. So that's one of the angles we're going to be tracking down here at KSL News Radio, like who in Utah is potentially impacted. We don't have all the answers to that yet, but potentially impacted. Like if you have family over there, you travel back and forth, will you somehow be impacted? If you have family in another country, if you're from Cuba, or you have family over in Venezuela, how is that going to impact people who are currently living in Utah? But there are, it seems like, some exceptions to this. And according to Axios, and I'm going to bounce these off you, existing visa holders are an exception to this. And then those who are athletes traveling for the World Cup, the Olympics, or other major sporting events. How does that strike you?
Yeah, well, if you look at some of the reasoning behind this, the Boulder attack was certainly one of them, but also Trump is relying a lot on a report from the Department of Homeland Security about individuals who are overstaying visas. And so I think they're choosing countries that are high on the list of people who have come for a specific visa purpose and have overstayed that visa. So if you have a high proportion of Haitians who are now overstaying their visas, now all of a sudden Haiti's on the list where it wasn't in Trump's first term. So from that perspective, I think it's fine if we have exceptions for athletes and others who are coming for legitimate reasons, like a sporting competition or something, or if you already have a visa to come and study here or to come and work here. If they're really just going to go after people who've overstayed those visas, I don't have a problem with that. I think that's fine. If you've overstayed your visa, then you either shouldn't be here or you need to get that visa renewed. But it just depends on what they're going for here.
Here's what President Trump said about it.
Very simply, we cannot have open migration from any country where we cannot safely and reliably vet and screen those who seek to enter the United States.
And I think as he was on the campaign trail and as he was taking over the Oval Office, I certainly expected there to be stronger border security at the southern border. Then there was some issues with Canada, but we're going to have to see how that all shakes out. But I look at the list of countries: Cuba, some of these I can't even, Venezuela. Some of these I can't even pronounce. You did a better job than I could do. They have partial travel bans. I look at it like there are people who will try to get into the United States, and we've seen this for decades illegally, whether there's a ban or there's no ban. So I'll be curious to see, and what I'll be watching for is how this shakes out at our borders. There's been tighter border security. There's been a lot of reporting about how the number of illegal immigration in general has been just dropping off since the Trump administration has implemented, new rules at the southern border. But I'm curious, if you're trying to get into America for reasons to commit terrorist acts and that type of thing, which, we're always trying to, secure our borders and keep them safe from terrorists. I want to make sure that we are being as secure as possible with those people, because what ends up happening is they somehow can potentially find a way into our country despite bans, despite pieces of paper that get signed citing executive orders.
Yeah, no
question. I want to make sure the focus is still on those individuals who are trying to infiltrate our country to commit terrorist acts, and not just people who are just trying to come here to travel.
Sure.
I think there's a big difference there.
I agree with that. And this is a piece of our overall immigration policy, right? We do need to talk about border security, border control, and who is coming without a visa and just coming across illegally or coming with ill intent, like you said. But also dealing with our visa process is a really, really big part of our immigration policy. We need improvements to our visa process, both to incentivize good people to come and work and participate in our economy, but also to make sure that we're keeping track of who has visas and who's in the country. Trump in that sound clip that you played mentioned being concerned about vetting. How are countries getting visas? How are we getting people here? And if you're here and you have overstayed that visa, that is still a part of our immigration policy. And so if he's using this to go after that piece of it, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. We'll just see how it plays out.
It's time for the KSL Give-a-thon.
We need your help raising money for sick Utah kids receiving treatment at Primary Children's Hospital.
Go to kslkids.com and donate today.
Be a smile maker. An automatic gift each month helps save the lives of children all year long.
Sponsored by J&J Garden Center in Layton.
A big thanks to other generous sponsors, including the Utah Hyundai dealers, for their amazing support of the kids of Primary Children's.
The KSL Give-a-thon. We can't do it without you. Please give today at kslkids.com.
Pantheon Clinical Research is conducting a chronic migraine clinical trial. Located just minutes from Salt Lake City with plenty of free parking, this study is open to children ages 12 to 17 who suffer from chronic migraines. To pre-qualify, your child must have 8 or more migraine attacks each month and at least 15 headache days. They should also currently be taking or have taken oral medication for migraine relief. All study-related visits, tests, and medications will be provided at no cost. Plus, reimbursement for study-related travel may also be available. As a parent, it's never easy to watch your child suffer. This is your chance to help them find relief. For more information, call Pantheon Clinical Research at 385-281-0550. That's Pantheon Clinical Research, 385-281-0550. Or visit us online at pantheonclinical.com. Again, that's 385-281-0550. Or go to pantheonclinical.com.
Hi, I'm Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. When the IRS invades your life, keep in mind, it's not just you.
My name is David. I was in trouble with the IRS. I owed about $140,000. It was a very stressful thing to know that you owed that much money to the IRS.
Don't face the IRS alone.
When I knew how much I owed, it was really, it's overwhelming. It's you worry about the whole, your whole world, what's going to happen.
With everything in your life at stake, don't trust just anyone.
Everything was said and done, and with the IRS offered me to pay $4,000.
You need someone to fight for you.
Do not hesitate. Do not think it twice. Go see Jordan Wilcox.
Visit endtaxworry.com. Put an end to IRS collection and aggression today. That's endtaxworry.com.
Anybody that needs help in this situation, please go see him.
endtaxworry.com.
Life can feel hard or overwhelming sometimes, but you don't have to face things alone. Getting help for yourself or someone you're worried about starts with a call or text to 988, where you always have someone to talk to, someone to help you, and somewhere safe to go. 988 Utah is here for anyone experiencing mental health challenges or emotional distress. 988 Utah can even help you navigate how to support your struggling loved ones. Whether you're struggling with anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts, trained professionals are ready to listen and provide free, confidential support 24/7. Utah, don't hesitate to call or text 988 for you or someone you care about. The caring staff at 988 Utah can connect you to the right resources. Learn more at 988.utah.gov.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story, Weber County is close to opening a veteran treatment court.
Public Defender Group Director Jim Retallick says he started advocating for a treatment court when one of his veteran clients had several mental health problems traditional court made worse.
At that time, I realized that we need to do better by our veterans who gave so much for us.
Retallick says these courts are focused on helping vets get better. A mentor who has served in the military is provided to help them navigate the system, and treatment plans are devised to set the vets on the right path. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
The Salt Lake County Library is now hosting their annual Summer Reading Challenge. Any day from today until July 31st, the entire family can pick up a reading recorder to log hours for a chance to win a prize. There will also be giveaways during the challenge. Those who enter have a chance to win bonus activities and books. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, the battle over President Trump's budget bill is brewing. Elon Musk is now calling on his supporters to help, quote, kill the bill. ABC News senior political correspondent Rachel Scott is at the White House with the latest.
Musk warning about the level of spending in the bill, which the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimates will add $2.4 trillion to the national debt. Sources tell us he also expressed frustration that the bill cuts the electric vehicle tax credit, which benefits owners of electric vehicles, including Tesla, and that he personally pushed senior lawmakers, including Speaker Mike Johnson, to keep it in.
President Trump wants the bill to be passed and on his desk by Independence Day. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 149 right now. That's over 0.3%. We're at 42,577. Coming up, lots of sunshine today, highs in the 80s. We'll get a closer look at KSL weather next. KSL News Time, 10:03.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Your electric bill is going to be higher for summer, but not if you get new windows from Advanced Window Products. State-of-the-art double-pane windows and insulated frames, any style, any color, from a company that's been building them right here in Salt Lake City for 39 years. Not only are you buying local, but you're cutting out the middleman because they're the factory. You save 30, even 40% on your new windows, and you get a lifetime guarantee from a trusted local company. If there's a problem 5 years from now, they come right over and get things straight. And right now, you can save even more. If you call Advanced Windows for a quote, they'll give you an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Advanced Windows offers buy now, pay later. They have 60-month 0% financing. They always work out affordable payments, plus $2,500 off. So get your new windows for summer. Make the call now, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or you can go to advancedwindows.com.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything! The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu!
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
You know, in Box Elder County, they're all about the bucket list. Want to go birding at the premier birding destination in the western United States? Well, check off the Bear River Migratory Bird Refuge. How about land art? The spiral jetty and sun tunnels will leave you inspired. Or stand on the spot where the Union and Central Pacific Railroads joined and forged the destiny of a nation. Yep, Golden Spike National Historical Park is like no other place. Check. Splash, boat, camp, or fish your day away? Willard Bay State Park will guarantee a good time. Soak in a natural hot spring with the highest mineral content in the world? That would be Crystal Hot Springs. You'll feel rejuvenated. Eat at Utah's original steakhouse. Maddox Ranch House is perfection. Check. A 1920s diner. The Idle Owl Cafe will transport you back in time. As you empty your Box Elder County bucket list, you'll find a whole new set of adventures to fill it up again. Fill up your bucket list at visitboxeldercounty.com.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards Credit Card Promotion. And here's Heather Kelly.
All the delays are now gone southbound I-15 through Utah County, as well as northbound I-15 coming up from Sandy and into Midvale. But we still have a couple of crashes in play. One of them is southbound I-15 right before the 33rd South exit in South Salt Lake. Those vehicles are on the right shoulder. And then if you're going through Parley's Canyon, eastbound I-80 also has another fender bender about a half a mile before you get to the Mount Air Canyon Road exit. That too is on the right shoulder. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Let's get a look now at the weather forecast. Today will be partly cloudy with the highs around 80. Expect some winds later this afternoon. We'll get up to 92 by Sunday. Right now, let me see where our current condition. We're at 68 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
If I may, Aaron, I'm just going to take a little bit of credit for saying, maybe 3 decades ago, we should eat more carrots and less donuts. Okay, and now Texas is leaning into this. It sounds like leaning into this. It's this legislation is sitting on the governor's desk in Texas that would slap a warning label on. It sounds like dozens of snacky foods and soft drinks. I'm going to tell you what that warning label is destined to say if he signs this legislation. But isn't this like we already knew that some of these snacky foods like Doritos or I don't want to out Twinkies because I happen to love those every once in a while. We all need a little Twinkie in our life once in a while. But we know when we're consuming this stuff, there's probably better options out there, and they live in the produce section.
Well, sure. Sure, but I think people also knew that cigarettes were not great for them, and yet we decided that we needed warning labels and smoking bans and
they're on alcohol too.
Yeah. So I mean, look, we are in an RFK world, Debbie. We're in an RFK world.
You think this is attached to RF Kennedy Jr.?
No question.
And
because California's been doing stuff like this for a while, but nobody has really cared about what California is doing until RFK became the head of HHS. And now who's leading the way on some of this? Texas.
Yeah.
Right?
We're going to take live calls on this in just a moment. And I'm going to give you the phone number now, 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. Will a warning label slapped on your favorite snack food keep you from eating it? We're going to pick on Doritos a little bit. I happen to love Doritos.
I love Doritos.
Okay, so we're going to agree on that.
Uh-huh.
I don't think a warning label would stop me one way or the other from shoving my face in a bag of Doritos after a really hard day on this show. Okay, I mean, I do this with Skinny Pop too. I get the huge bag from Costco.
Oh, those are so dangerous.
I put my head in it and I just eat all of the popcorn. I know it's 150 calories for 3.5 cups, but I'm 6 cups into that before I care about. But Doritos for sure. I mean, I will just on a Debbie Downer day, Doritos are my go-to. But will a warning label stop you from eating things like Doritos? 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. I won't pay one bit of attention to a warning label. I have a feeling you feel differently about it.
Well, I think the question is, what does the warning label lead to, right? Like, let's look at the case of cigarettes again. When we put a Surgeon General's warning on cigarettes, and all of a sudden we start talking about should smoking be allowed in office buildings? Should smoking be allowed in airports? Should smoking be allowed in these other places? It led to other things. And I'm curious to see if we start to see the same kind of thing here. Do we go down the path of, like, I think the warning labels themselves talk about, the label has to state, quote, "This product contains an artificial color, chemical, or food additive that is banned in Australia, Canada, the European Union, or the United Kingdom." So what it's doing is it's saying, hey, this food product is banned in other parts of the world. Maybe you should think twice about eating this. Does that conversation then lead to other regulation pulling those additives out and making them illegal in the United States as well? That's where this could get interesting.
Okay, but let's go to the California issue. You brought up California earlier. I have ordered put together furniture to my front door for years. Okay. Sometimes I can put it together. Other times I cannot, and I send it back. But my point to saying this is there are often labels on this put together furniture that says something about something in California, proposition such and such says this is a problem. FY. Do you know what I do? I rip that label off. And I keep screwing the furniture together. So I understand. I hear what you're saying, Aaron. But ultimately, I look right past that label. And is this also like a label on pillows too and mattresses or something like that? Don't remove this label unless you're like, you know what I do? I rip the label off. Sorry, I don't know if that's a violation of some sort of law, but I can't sleep with a long label in my pillow that crunches on my right ear all night long. Let's get a little bit more from Jim Ryan at ABC News. And again, we're going to take your live calls on the other side of this and also give you a list of the foods that could be impacted.
Food manufacturers insist that the dyes and flavor enhancers they use are safe, but the proposed Texas statute would put warnings about ingredients, quote, not recommended for human consumption on labels in Texas. Big states like California, New York, and Texas are often a bellwether of what happens in other states.
What I find so curious about this is, as I slide ever so closely to the age of 60, I'm like, well, what am I going to do about it now? Now you want to slap these these warning labels on food that I have been consuming for decades. I can't, undo it. I can't uneat it.
No, but think of the future, Debbie.
It's probably exactly the same argument, though, to some degree, what they used with cigarettes. A lot of people were already smoking. It's like, what can I do about it now? And those warning labels, I think, helped. I think they
no
helped
question.
in terms, for me and my choices in my younger years, I would be like, oh, I'm good. I don't want to smoke. I don't want to smell like a pack of cigarettes every day, all day long. I don't want my clothes to smell like cigarettes. But let's go over the list of snack foods that could be affected. And we're talking about this Texas legislation that sits on Governor Greg Abbott's desk, awaiting his signature. We'll see if he signs it. But it would create a warning label for certain snack foods. Doritos is on this list. I'm looking at this list. I'm trying to source this list. Caitlin, can you help me with where we got this list from? Like what media organization, so I can let our listeners know. Doritos is on the list, followed by Ruffles, potato chips, Lay's potato chips. Okay, I've got a bag of those in my pantry right now. M&M's, Sour Patch Kids. That one I wouldn't miss. When's the last time you had a Sour Patch Kid?
At a movie theater.
Oh, really? I've never been a big Sour Patch Kid
classic
fan.
movie theater food.
I will admit, however, as a child, I consumed Pop Rocks.
Ah, okay.
Those things you put them in your mouth and it would fizzle.
Mm-hmm.
Skittles, I'll occasionally pop one of those in my mouth because I like the fruit flavor, particularly the lemon.
Can you tell the difference between the fruit
I
flavors?
can. I like the
Okay.
lemon.
All right.
I love that question, though, because you're right. If you put a whole handful in, you don't even know.
I mean,
It's
I
just
only
like
want to
a
eat the red
medley.
ones, so that's
Oh,
just
you do?
my thing. Yeah.
You're one of those?
Yeah.
Do you have the list of cereals or any of the baked goods?
Cereals, we've got Fruit Loops and Captain Crunch. That's unfortunate. I love Captain Crunch.
Do you?
I do. I really do. And yes, it might destroy the roof of your mouth, but I do love it. Baked goods, Twinkies, as you mentioned.
You gotta see the sponge cake with the cream filling on it. It just comes in a
it cream?
wrapper.
I don't know what it is. Let's be
I
honest.
gotta have one of those. I eat those when nobody's looking, though, so it doesn't really happen.
Hostess snack cakes, Oreos, Chips Ahoy. Those are the baked goods, and then drinks. Mountain Dew. This should not be a surprise to anyone. That color in Mountain Dew, I don't know what it is, but it is not. It is not natural.
Is that the yellow kind of? Yeah,
that yellow
I don't
color.
drink Mountain Dew, but
Yeah.
I've seen people drink it. Yeah.
Yeah. Gatorade, Capri Suns, Hawaiian Punch, and Juicy Juice.
I wonder, and I don't know the answer to this. And by the way, this is a list we got out of USA Today. I wonder if this includes these. You know how they're putting out color? I think I've seen like colorless Gatorade.
Oh,
I wonder if it took the food dye out, if there's dye in there or something like that, if that would make a difference. 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. Would you like forego a snack food that you love if you saw a warning label slapped on it saying something to the effect that it could be dangerous to your health? Hi, Janice.
Hi.
So you live in Willard. What's the big snack treat up in Willard?
Well, I love eating chocolate chips sometimes.
Just right out of the bag? Are you just
Yeah,
right out of the bag?
occasionally.
I do the same thing.
I do that if I'm out of chocolate anything else.
Yes.
I'm like getting desperate.
Right. And you can't just eat one. It's not just one morsel. It's
No.
like, to me, it's like, and I look at the bag, I look at the
little
ingredients.
handful.
A little handful is good. Okay. So so if a warning label was slapped on your favorite snack food, would you pass by it in the grocery aisle?
No, I don't think so. I'm trying to be mindful of what I'm eating, but when I have a bowl of ice cream or something and it's so good, I just have to go back for a second. I just have to.
Oh, so
and Nestle's Quick in the morning in my milk. That's my everyday starter.
Well, you lean
That's my coffee.
you lean in. Oh, you put that in. You put that in your coffee.
No, it is my coffee.
Oh, it is your coffee. It's your substitute. I'll have to try that.
Yes. Yes, it's very good.
Well,
But
I
yeah,
actually don't have anything to ask with that. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, if I have a bowl of ice cream and want to go back for seconds, again,
Does the warning label stop you?
Does the
from
warning
that
label stop you?
Yeah, it sounds like Janice is not worried about the warning. She's on Team Debbie, so that's what I'm like. Warning label would not stop me. I do, however, as I sit here and drool on over Twinkies and Doritos after having a bad day, I will say I have been really conscientious about moderation of this kind of stuff. And I've been doing that for decades. I have always been somebody that I read the backs of, I read the calories, I read the, how much, whatever, the salt intake, all the things. I know it's a hard way to live.
Do you even do that for your bag of Doritos?
No. So I give myself occasional permission to just stick my face in a pack of Doritos and eat, but I think that's okay. And I just for my personal, I don't want to tell anybody how to eat or how I diet or don't diet, but I think that's okay. I've always felt like carrots are better than donuts. I will eat more almonds than Chips Ahoy, raw almonds than Chips Ahoy. I have raw almonds in a mason jar in my fridge, and I eat them pretty regularly when I get hungry. I will pop popcorn from scratch the old-fashioned way before I will stick my head in a bag of Skinny Pop, but everybody needs a good bag of Skinny Pop, in my view, at their ready in case they need to, eat a lot of popcorn in the moment. But I try to do things more like whole foods, eat high protein, eat low carb, but eat fruits and vegetables. But when I look at this, a label for me is something I don't need the label because I've already practiced that. I already know. And I don't lean into government telling me what I can and can't eat. Now, this isn't telling me what I can eat. They're not pulling the stuff off the shelf. They're just issuing a warning about it.
I mean, I think there's an educational component to this that actually is very important. For example, I learned not too long ago that the food dye used in Doritos, it's called tartrazine. It's also known as yellow number 5. They've done studies and they found that it can make mouse skin transparent. Like you can literally see through a mouse's skin because of the food dye that's used in Doritos. That actually does make me stop and think when I go buy that bag of Doritos for my comfort food or for whatever it is. Do I want to be eating something that can make a mouse's skin transparent?
But see,
what is that doing to my own body?
If you read a study that concerns you, and you are grocery shopping with that knowledge, you can make that choice and not to eat that. Now, the companies that are potentially in the throes of this that could be labeling have come out and said our food is safe. I mean, our food is safe to eat. It's okay to consume. But you could make that choice. Like I saw something, I've heard something from a friend. I don't know if I like. You can make that choice not to eat it. But for me, it's like I already know what foods are good for me and bad, and maybe aren't the best for me.
Yeah, but think about how much research you've done, Debbie. Not everybody has done that.
That's true,
right?
This is true. On our text line of 57500, this listener says we all love our junk food. There's is Pepperidge Farms mint Milanos. That's mine. That's mine too. Those were introduced to me by way of a boyfriend back about 30 years ago, and I've always loved. But I will say this: I haven't eaten a mint Milano in probably a couple of decades. I
is that because of kind of the decisions you make when you grocery shop?
I will also add it has to do with age. So the decisions that I was making in my 20s are not the same food decisions I've been making in my 30s, 40s, and 50s. I don't eat cereal in the morning anymore the way I used to. I don't drink, I call it fully leaded Coca-Cola sodas, which are to me like the sugary drinks.
Yeah,
I'll drink
sugar.
a diet instead of, I drink a lot more water than I used to. I don't go to as many drive-thrus at lunch as I used to. I will drive home and make myself something there. I will bring healthy snacks. I bring string cheese and almonds here to work. warning, don't eat almonds before you go on the air. They always get caught in the wrong spot. But this started actually, Aaron, when I got very, very sick after eating at a fast food restaurant many years ago, back in the late 90s, very sick. And it turns out I legitimately had food poisoning. I had called the health department after 2 days of crawling around. I was pretty sick, trying to get back and forth to the bathroom. And so my husband said, you ought to call the health department and see. And they said, and I remember to this day, they said, first of all, we need a list of every place that you've eaten out at over the last couple of weeks. And I was humiliated to give them that list. It was the who's who of fast food restaurants. And I realized in that moment that I had an issue that I needed to deal with. I was spending way too much time on the run, like grabbing things that were it was like a real wake-up call to me. And eventually we got to the restaurant where they're like, oh, yes, 125 other people have reported getting sick off that very same sandwich.
Oh.
Yeah, it was 100. It was more than 100 people had contacted the health department. But I have totally really changed. I wasn't always like that, but changed my habits. Where I eat and how I eat and that. But and that's, you're right. I probably don't need a warning label, but maybe there are people out there who would appreciate a warning label on their food.
Yeah, and I think there are also discussions that we're not really having about how should you be eating as you age. When you're in your 20s, you can kind of handle some of that stuff.
My metabolism
better,
was super high.
Right? But like you hit your 30s and 40s, and especially for women, you get into that perimenopause, menopause stage, and your body really starts to change. And so I think there's a whole conversation about food and aging and choices and what we eat and how we choose to eat it. And if this is a step towards helping us have that conversation, we all talk about how Europeans look so much healthier than we are and their food quality is so much better. Well, all right, let's make our food quality better, right? Like if this is a step in that direction, a step for somebody to look at that label and say, you know what, maybe Doritos are not the smart option today, I'm okay with that.
And something you just said in the last couple of seconds has really almost instantly altered my thought process on this. And that is that if something helps people understand like what they're consuming, because food is such we can't really do without it, is such a major part of our life.
Yeah.
And we know among children and among adults that obesity and there's other, health issues that people are dealing with, that food is such a key component, that labeling food or making us more aware and raising our awareness is an important component of our overall health. So thanks for your insight on that. I think you might have changed my point of view.
Wow, that's a big deal.
Congratulations.
Yeah. No, I think we need to be rethinking how we have this conversation.
It's a changing of the guard for KSL, and that means an expanded Inside Sources for you. Debbie Dujanovic retires after her last show Friday. Huge congrats, Debbie. Coming Monday, the all-new Inside Sources with Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson. Monday at 9 on KSL News Radio.
Market volatility isn't slowing down. If you're nearing retirement, now is not the time to wait and see. Every day of uncertainty can put your future at risk. It's time to diversify. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I want you to know you can create certainty, locking in guaranteed income for life. This means predictable, stable cash flow, even in turbulent times. You've worked too hard to leave your retirement to chance. Right now, there are options to receive up to 30% upfront or annual growth of up to 10% for retirement income. That's up to $30,000 upfront or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't wait. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Any examples provided are hypothetical. Annuities are issued with prospectus and sales brochures and should be reviewed carefully before funding as features and benefits vary. DBA in most states as Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery. so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Every success you've had began with a great opportunity. Now there's another one. Last aid year, University of Maryland Global Campus awarded over $21 million in scholarships to qualified students, including community college students, service members, veterans, and working adults. Now is the time to move your career forward with an online and accredited skills-based education. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chef.
Are you looking for the perfect downtown lunch spot? The Garden Restaurant is opening on June 30th in Salt Lake City. Enjoy a reimagined space and a fresh, healthy menu featuring handcrafted sandwiches, rich soups, unique salads, and their famous homemade pot pies. You'll see and taste the difference in every menu item. The Garden is perfect for lunch meetings, taking a break while out shopping, or a spring stroll downtown. Visit the reimagined space with remarkable taste. Grab and go or stay and dine in using a new online ordering option. Find entry from the ground floor of the Joseph Smith Memorial Building, open Monday through Friday, 11 to 3. Visit thegardenslc.com to learn more. Fresh Flavors' iconic location. The Garden Restaurant is opening June 30th. Hope to see you there. Visit thegardenslc.com to learn more. thegardenslc.com.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
It's 10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Eric Cabrera. KSL's top local story this hour. Drivers in Weber Canyon will need to be prepared for lane closures in both directions for the next 2 years. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly has more.
The closures are so crews can repair the Union Pacific Railroad bridges, which cross over I-84 about 2 miles into the canyon from Ogden. UDOT spokesman Mitchell Shaw tells the Standard Examiner there are lane restrictions heading eastbound through next summer. Then crews will start working on the westbound side of I-84 into 2027.
A man was critically injured after crashing an ATV in Iron County. The Iron County Sheriff's Office says the crash happened near the Dry Lakes area close to Bryan Head, and they think the ATV was going fast when it veered off the road and hit a rock. They found the man with severe head injuries, and he's currently in the hospital in critical condition. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The suspect in the firebombing attack in Boulder, Colorado, is due in court this afternoon.
When Muhammad Solomon appears in Boulder County Court, he'll hear the official charges he's now facing. It has been 16 counts of attempted murder, but more charges could be added based on more victims of the attack who have gone to police. They now say they know of 15 human victims and 1 dog who were injured. All are expected to survive. Separately, Solomon is facing federal hate crime charges as well.
That was ABC's Alex Stone reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 128 points, S&P up 17 points, and the NASDAQ up by 88. Coming up, sunshine at the moment with clouds on the way later. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
The KSL News Radio movie show comes to My Hearing Centers Friday from 10 to 1. But first, discover what My Hearing Centers can do for you. My Hearing Centers uses advanced technology to diagnose and treat hearing loss. These comprehensive evaluations determine the best treatment options. Then enjoy lifetime support with regular check-ins, cleaning, and maintenance. Call My Hearing Centers at 801-701-1629. 801-701-1629 for more details. My Hearing Centers has offices from Ogden to St. George.
The Salt Lake Chamber is Utah's voice for business. Okay, that sounds great, but what does it really mean? Well, as Utah's largest and longest standing business association, they support and champion community prosperity throughout the state. And if you're in business, well, that's a very good thing for you. Be sure to listen to the Chamber's Speaking on Business, weekdays at 7:20, 11:55, and 5:20 p.m. on KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Here's Heather Kelly.
We've got good speeds right now all across the Wasatch Front. No delays on I-15, the east or west side belt routes, or 201 freeway. But we do have a power outage affecting traffic lights in Salt Lake City area. This looks like it's between about 600 north, 400 and 300 west, all the way down towards South Temple. So you may have to treat a lot of traffic lights as four-way stops. When you take UTA, you can do just about anything while you ride. You won't even notice all the traffic you're missing. Plan your trip at rideuta.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll hit a high of 81 today, and it only gets hotter from here into the weekend, peaking in the 90s by Sunday. Right now, it's partly cloudy and 68 degrees. I'm Eric Cabrera from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
When I saw the story this morning on KSL.com, I immediately thought of my co-host today, Aaron Ryder, because you're an attorney, and I thought you will be able to give us this really robust and smart insight regarding this story, because of your experience as an attorney. And in a moment, we're also going to have Greg Skordas, the future host of this show of Inside, the all-new Inside Sources, which starts Monday, join us as well. He's been a long-time attorney here in the state of Utah. But this story we're going to talk about has to do with two Utah attorneys. They got sanctioned by the court. And here was what was at issue. They were accused of citing fake cases that had been generated by artificial intelligence in a court brief that they had submitted on behalf of a client. I think there are so many layers to this, and that first, how do you end up in this situation as an attorney where you were standing or called into court asking, where did you come up with these citations? But to also cite what's been alleged as fake cases in a court brief, I was like, that's what, how does that happen? These cases didn't actually exist. But so talk to us, Aaron, from your experience as an attorney about artificial intelligence in the world of law and what role that plays. And in a moment, we'll get into more details about this particular issue.
Yeah, so pretty much every law firm has access to one or two databases with a whole bunch of legal cases and precedent and other information, relevant to attorneys. And that's what you use when you're doing research, particularly to put together a brief or to put together information like this.
Because you want to rely sometimes on case law.
Yes.
Other cases that have played out across the country, to cite those in a brief that you're submitting to the court.
Yeah,
Right,
precedent is a huge deal in the legal field, and usually you're looking for precedent in another case that you're then going to use to build your argument as to why the judge or the jury should rule in your favor. When artificial intelligence showed up, when ChatGPT showed up, I remember at my firm, people would put in, we were playing around with it, and people were putting in things like, give us a 3-paragraph brief that does this, and it would spit it out. And it turns out that all of the cases were fake. Like they're not just wrong, they're fake. They're completely
They don't exist.
unreal. They don't exist. This is really problematic and dangerous because
And this was just an experiment.
This is just
You
an
guys were just
experiment.
saying, okay.
Yeah, we were just figuring out, like, what does it do and how does this impact the legal community? Because law, we talked at the very top of the show about jobs that AI is coming for, and law is one of those jobs where we're having lots of discussions about how AI is going to impact legal services. And so if you're putting together a brief and you are citing cases that don't even exist, you are using precedent that doesn't exist. I think the judge called it, in this case, the judge called it hallucinated authority, right? It's not there. It's not there. And so that could have a real impact. It's negligent practice because you're not actually doing it. You're not serving your client very well because you're not using real legal precedent. And if you're caught, then you have this situation here.
Let's bring Greg Skordas, our KSL legal analyst, longtime attorney here in the state of Utah. And as I said earlier, Greg, starting Monday morning at 9 a.m., you will be hosting with Holly Richardson 9 to noon right here on KSL News Radio with the all-new Inside Sources. But you've read this story. You're familiar with this report from KSL.com that these Utah attorneys got sanctioned for using artificial intelligence to write a legal brief. What was your reaction to this when you saw this?
Well, kind of no surprise, although given some precedent from other attorneys from throughout the country, you would expect that people would be wise to that by now, that attorneys would know you can't just do that. But artificial intelligence, and I think Aaron understands this even better than I do, is going to be a huge part of the practice of law. And I think that lawyers who don't use it in writing their briefs and memos are wasting some time. It's a valuable resource. But you have to read the cases that you're citing. You have to actually read them and make sure that they stand for and say what you're quoting them to say and stand for. So, yeah, I mean, using artificial intelligence to help you put something together is great. It makes a lot of sense. But a lawyer has an obligation ethically to the court and professionally to their client to make sure that what you put in writing is something that is true and accurate to the best of your belief. And that's something you swear to when you sign a document, or at least you agree to when you sign a document and you're a lawyer.
Greg, what, you're just talking here about how attorneys are going to need to use AI, and I completely agree with you. It's going to cut down tremendously on the number of hours used on some of these things. But as we're talking here, I'm looking at this article and reading. Well, it was a law clerk who put this together, and then the partners in this firm used it in this case, and it just makes me think, like, if you're advising other lawyers, right? Like we're talking about, you got to know the article or the cases that you're referencing, but how does this change the dynamics between partners and more junior associates or even law clerks who, in terms of the oversight that's necessary while we're figuring out how AI works?
Well, first of all, let me say this. I served on an ethics and disciplinary panel for the bar for many years, and too often lawyers would come in and say, oops, that was my law clerk's doing, or oops, that was my paralegal's doing, or that was my secretary's doing. And you can't do that. I mean, that's not something you can get away with. And this was a prestigious firm. I'm not saying anything that they weren't trying to be accurate, but ultimately, and you know this, Aaron. Sorry, I got 27 dogs trying to attack me all of a sudden. But you know as well as I do that you sign your name to something, you're attesting to it. Yeah. You're attesting to its accuracy, and you can't blame it on your staff. I mean, I understand people do that, but it's ultimately, if it's got your signature on it, it's your document and your representation to the court.
So I'm going to come at this from a total outsider's perspective. If I'm hiring an attorney to represent me, and in this case, it sounds like a contract case. So some sort of a contract dispute or something they were trying to work out. But if I'm hiring somebody to represent me, an attorney, I mean, how can I be assured that when they're filing the paperwork that they need for my brief, that it doesn't generate fake cases that are going to be submitted to court? If they're using artificial intelligence, I mean, I could ask them, but I'm hiring them at probably quite a bit of money per hour. No offense, guys, but you know what I mean? Like, how do I make sure I can protect myself if I'm the client?
I give you a bad answer that you're not going to like, and that is you really can't, any more than you can expect that your doctor or dentist are doing the right thing. I mean, you have to rely on them. You have to trust them. You have to understand that they're professionals. And it would be unfair for a client to have to review and read documents.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, I just feel like, I mean, I've read enough legal documents in my career as a news reporter, but I don't know that I would be able to track down if this case, if a particular case that was cited actually happened.
Yeah, I do think, though, that there's another element to this, that in the legal world, there's often a tremendous amount of review. Very few things go out the door without more than one person looking at them. And then you also have the other side who's always reviewing everything, and they're looking for your mistakes. Not that you want to rely on the other side to catch your own attorney's mistakes, but that's exactly what happened in this scenario. You know, these guys sent in the brief, the other side was reviewing the brief and said, hey, wait a minute, these cases aren't real. And then the court came back and said, okay, well, then you've got to refund your client the money for the time that you spent here.
And that's ultimately the sanction was.
Right.
Yeah.
That was part of the penalty. They have to pay the attorney's fees. Okay. They have to pay. They have to refund their own client the costs for the brief. And so you also have, I think, an environment where you don't need very many of these cases to pop up. You don't need very many of these circumstances before the legal world says, okay, we've got to make sure that we don't end up there, because nobody wants to get sanctioned by the bar. Nobody wants to risk losing their license. Nobody wants to lose face by ending up in an article like this. And so, we're going to have some rough moments with AI. Greg, you can correct me if you think I'm wrong on this, but I think it's the kind of thing where there are multiple layers of review in law firms, and it's an adjustment period where we're figuring out how do we interact with AI and incorporate that into the structure that already exists.
What do you think, Greg?
No, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's something that, like you said, AI is important. My wife uses it in her practice. I'm too old. I haven't figured it out yet. But it's something that absolutely will save your client time and money. But ultimately, you don't want to be the attorney that gets his or her name on a Court of Appeals opinion saying, hey, you made a mistake here. You're going to have to pay the other side money. And you're right, Aaron. When I get a brief from an opposing counselor, I check the sites. I say, okay, he or she's citing this case. Does that really say what they claim it says? And if you don't do it, the Court of Appeals is going to do it. Someone's going to do it ultimately. And it could be embarrassing. And like I say, you just don't want to be the lawyer that's whose name and law firm is attached to this, even if it's a good law firm, which this is.
Yeah. KSL legal analyst, future host of Inside Sources, Greg Skordas, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Greg. We'll have your co-host, your future co-host, future being Monday, Holly Richardson, on in the 11 o'clock hour.
Congratulations, Debbie Dujanovic. Debbie locks up a successful career on Friday to retire. Starting Monday, KSL introduces the all-new Inside Sources. Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson give you inside access on the people and politics shaping Utah. Starting Monday at 9 on KSL News Radio.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Are you struggling with pain in your feet, ankles, knees, hips, or lower back? At the Good Feet store, we recommend having high-quality support in all of your shoes. Our personalized arch support system has helped countless people find relief, like Karen. Here is her Good Feet story.
After I decided my pain was too much, and my doctor actually suggested that I do visit the Good Feet store. Pretty amazing when they put the arch supports in your shoe and you walk around and you realize there's not pain, and you think, how can this arch support in my shoe make my back pain go away? But it works. And how can it make my knee pain go away? It was incredible.
Come to the Good Feet store today and see what we can do for you. Good Feet arch supports are in stock and available in over 300 different styles and sizes.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Stop in today at the Good Feet store.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Chuck McDowell here again. Over the years, I've seen way too many timeshare exit companies pop up, take folks' money, and disappear. I just saw an ad from an exit company started by a couple of bozos that used to work for me. My advice, don't hire bozos I'll fire. Want out of your timeshare? I'll send you our free timeshare exit info kit explaining your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free kit. Call 800-995-2929. That's 800-995-2929.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Well, let's talk about Elon Musk's tweet. He posts this on X. It says, call your senator, call your congressman. Bankrupting America is not okay. Kill the bill. And he publishes that, Aaron, to his 220 million followers on X. And basically, he's going after the big, beautiful budget bill.
Yes, he is. Look, the divestiture of Elon Musk from Donald Trump has been a long time coming. It was just a question of when it was going to hit. And Musk walking out of Doge, having interviews where he's talking about how he's going to pull back from political spending, he doesn't think it's worth it, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, this was writing on the wall, right? All of a sudden, we get Elon Musk saying, what the heck? This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Why are you doing this? Now, the question is, does that have any impact at all?
Let's talk about that in just a second. Here's what is this what President Trump said, Caitlin? Am I gonna okay? She just got mayor. She said that he just said this today.
I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill.
Okay, so that's what President Trump has said about in response to what Elon Musk is saying about the big beautiful. I keep calling it the budget bill, but it is the
big
budget
beautiful bill. Yeah,
the big beautiful bill. But I insert the word budget because I think it helps clarify what we're talking about.
I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill.
There's a part of me that really wants to talk about, like, what happened to their relationship? What happened to their relationship? This is the first thing. I had a feeling when they launched into this that it wouldn't go much beyond May.
Yeah,
I was I was wrong. It's June. But I was.
You're not really wrong.
Well, I just, and I don't know really why I felt that, other than you got two really strong personalities, putting them in the same room, and then it felt like Musk started to ruffle feathers within the cabinet, and I think probably some of the newly appointed cabinet members were like, let us get our feet under us here and figure out where our cuts need to happen within our agencies before we start sending out mass emails. Telling people they're going to be out of a job. So maybe it went a little longer than I thought it would, but here we are. Musk is, he's essentially, he said he's going to stay friends with him. He's going to continue to advise him, but you think it's pretty well over?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's over, but the thing that Elon Musk always had going for him in terms of power and influence was he had his platform on X and he had political spending. He's a mega donor, and that's how he ended up running Doge in the first place, let's be honest, and ended up as sort of a pseudo cabinet member to Trump. If Elon Musk pulls back on his political spending, if he's not going to be the guy who's primarying people who don't do what he thinks they need to do, then, he has his X following, but I think he loses a lot of influence that he had in the first part of the year where, even before Trump was sworn into office, Elon Musk was out there making comments about continuing resolution and how members of Congress should vote. And it was influencing how those members of Congress voted. But it was because nobody knew what kind of power Elon Musk was going to have over everything. Now, he doesn't really have a lot of power over anything anymore. He's he's not a scapegoat, but he's definitely sort of on the outs, I guess. And so does his opinion matter anymore?
Well, he posted this to 220 million followers on X. Call your senator, call your congressman. Bankrupting America is not okay. Kill the bill. And this big, beautiful budget bill, while it barely, by one vote, passed the House.
Yeah.
It's met with some resistance on the Republican side of things in the Senate. And there's been chatter about changing it. And we've talked about that. There's some concerns over what it'll do to Medicaid recipients, and will people find themselves uninsured, and will some of those who are, in elected office in D.C. in the Senate or in the House as they run for re-election be met with, angry voters because they're in states that may more heavily rely on Medicaid for at least some of their residents. There's also been some concern about the ballooning deficit, and it doesn't go far enough to ensure, pulling back on spending, but in fact, will lead to more spending. But I guess that with this tweet, getting back to this tweet that Musk posted, I don't have a good sense of how many people will go running to their phones to call their senator or call their congressman over this. I don't know. He may have had, and he did have, I think, a lot of pull in the beginning of the Trump administration and the cuts and looking at the federal government and all the layoffs that happened, all the firings that happened. But I don't know how much pull he has to amass his followers to start making these phone calls to have that deep of an impression on this legislation. I just don't have a good finger on that pulse.
I think it's going to be really hard to know that for sure, because there are coalitions building that actually don't like some of the things that are in this bill. Even here in the state of Utah, for example, there's a provision in the big beautiful bill that says that states are not allowed to really touch AI policy or regulation for the next 10 years. And that's making a lot of people nervous. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene said, I didn't read this. If I had read this, I would not have voted for it. She's gotten a lot of pushback for that because that was frankly her job. But we have members of the legislature, we have members of the governor's cabinet in Utah who, Rep. Doug Fiafia, who works in the technology space, put out something on his social media saying, look, I'm writing letters to Senators Lee and Curtis, and I want, come help me, come push back on this, because states cannot be without the ability to regulate this space for a decade when we don't know where AI is going to be in the next decade. So I don't know how much Elon Musk on his own is affecting this, but there are coalitions building of people who are saying we're concerned about some of the provisions in this, and we don't know that we want this to pass.
I am down 50 pounds in 11 weeks, and this program works. The pounds melt off. It's amazing.
I let go of 50 pounds. It felt unreal. I was so proud of myself.
Get in the best shape of your life with Soda Weight Loss.
Just 3 weeks in, and pounds are dropping off very quickly. I am down 26 pounds in 3 weeks.
Summer is right around the corner. Your summer body starts right here because Soda's summer savings are on.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight without drugs, without hunger, and the weight stays off.
I tried other things, came to soda, just amazing.
I started on soda 8 months ago, and I have released 80 pounds now.
Summer savings, stunning results, only at Soda Weight Loss. Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Regardless of how old your air conditioner is, there are a few things you can do to help it last as many summers as possible. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and like so many things in our life, it's easy to take our air conditioner for granted. If you keep a clean filter, rinse the outdoor unit off every once in a while, and have it serviced once a summer, you can reduce your risk of unexpected breakdowns. But eventually it will break down, and if someone tells you that your only option is to replace it, don't be afraid to get a second opinion. You could save thousands of dollars repairing it instead of replacing it. Any Hour rarely comes across an air conditioner that just can't be repaired. That doesn't mean you won't choose to replace it anyway, but being told you don't have options, that's not cool. So if you want honest answers and straightforward options, give Any Hour Services a call. And remember, every week this summer, Any Hour Services is giving away an air conditioner to one lucky customer as part of our Coolest Summer Sweepstakes. No purchase is necessary. You can see official rules or schedule your service at anyhour.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
The Utah RV Palooza is ready for another round of RV savings, but this time we're hooking you up, South Salt Lake County. June 5th through the 7th, we're bringing our packed inventory of new and used RVs to you on Harriman Main Street, just south of Winco. Shop all the best RV brands fit for any budget and all at show pricing. You'll find payments starting under $139 per month on approved credit on select new RVs and clearance pricing on all remaining new 2024s while they last. You'll also get 90 days of all play and no pay OAC. Start shopping the best deals now at UtahRVPalooza.com. And it's the only show featuring the full lineup from Wayfinder RV, available exclusively through Bish's. Plus, every RV purchase receives a free 1-year RV Fix membership, your fast track to RV service repairs. All this plus free admission to the Utah RV Palooza, June 5th through the 7th on Harriman Main Street, just south of Winco. See you in Harriman.
Based on approved credit, 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Stock number 89922. Subject to prior sale. See dealer for details. Deal number 822B426B.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
On the surface, it seemed like just another Cinderella story.
A team that was predicted to finish dead last is now waiting to play the first round of the playoffs.
But Real Salt Lake's 2021 playoff run was so much more than what happened on the pitch.
Our club is burning to the ground.
This is the tip of the iceberg. Making of a Moment, the RSL story, is available now.
I just kind of got chills right now thinking about it.
Follow us at makingamomentpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jessica Lowell. KSL's top story this hour is breaking news on KSL News Radio. A woman was booked into jail last night after police say she left her infant in the car while she was donating plasma in South Salt Lake. Investigators say the child was in the car for well over an hour. They say the windows were down about an inch, but the temperature inside the cars was still recorded at 100 degrees after the door was open and the child removed. Someone called police after they say they saw the kid crying in the car. And our top national story this hour from ABC News. The suspect in the firebombing attack on pro-Israel marchers in Boulder, Colorado, is due in court this afternoon.
When Mohammed Solomon appears in Boulder County Court, he'll hear the official charges he's now facing. It has been 16 counts of attempted murder, but more charges could be added based on more victims of the attack who have gone to police. They now say they know of 15 human victims and 1 dog who were injured. All are expected to survive. Separately, Solomon is facing federal hate crime charges as well.
ABC's Alex Stone reporting. President Trump is banning people from countries his administration deems dangerous from coming to America. The ban includes nationals from Afghanistan, Haiti, and Yemen. The Republican president's first travel ban was issued during his last administration, and it banned travel from 7 predominantly Muslim countries. And your money at this moment, Dow down 37 points. Coming up, temperatures are ticking up. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Are you looking for the perfect downtown lunch spot?
The Garden Restaurant is opening on June 30th in Salt Lake City. Enjoy a reimagined space and a fresh, healthy menu featuring handcrafted sandwiches, rich soups, unique salads, and their famous homemade pot pies. You'll see and taste the difference in every menu item. The Garden is perfect for lunch meetings, taking a break while out shopping, or a spring stroll downtown. Visit the reimagined space with remarkable taste. Grab and go or stay and dine in using a new online ordering option. Find entry from the ground floor of the Joseph Smith Memorial Building, open Monday through Friday, 11 to 3. Visit thegardenslc.com to learn more. Fresh flavors, iconic location. The Garden Restaurant is opening June 30th. Hope to see you there. Visit thegardenslc.com to learn more. thegardenslc.com.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Gain a global perspective and specialized skills that many of today's top employers are seeking with an MBA from University of Maryland Global Campus. Study online and complete your degree in just 16 months for about $21K. Choose from MBA specializations in global business, marketing, HR, finance, and more. Classes start June 11th. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Regardless of how old your air conditioner is, there are a few things you can do to help it last as many summers as possible. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and like so many things in our life, it's easy to take our air conditioner for granted. If you keep a clean filter, rinse the outdoor unit off every once in a while, and have it serviced once a summer, you can reduce your risk of unexpected breakdowns. But eventually it will break down, and if someone tells you that your only option is to replace it, don't be afraid to get a second opinion. You could save thousands of dollars repairing it instead of replacing it. Any Hour rarely comes across an air conditioner that just can't be repaired. That doesn't mean you won't choose to replace it anyway, but being told you don't have options, that's not cool. So if you want honest answers and straightforward options, give Any Hour Services a call. And remember, every week this summer, Any Hour Services is giving away an air conditioner to one lucky customer as part of our Coolest Summer Sweepstakes. No purchase is necessary. You can see official rules or schedule your service at anyhour.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Here's Heather Kelly.
We've got good speeds on the I-15 corridor, especially northbound coming out of Utah County, where that'd been a struggle earlier this morning. We do have a crash southbound I-15 in Layton. It's right near Layton Parkway. It has been moved over to the right shoulder, but you might still see a few brake lights in the area. Earlier, we did have two right lanes closed. Now, again, just the right shoulder is blocked. And everybody else moving along nicely on the 201 freeway and I-80 out of Twilla County and through Parley's Canyon. The Good Feet store, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Pleasant temperatures today, partly cloudy, but clear sunny skies expected this weekend. Right now it's 71 degrees, mostly cloudy. I'm Jessica Lowell from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com, where Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Aaron, when I was raising my kids and they wanted smartphones, I'm like, never, ever, ever will you have smartphones. And then 6 months later, we got them smartphones for Christmas. But they were 15-ish years old. I think our son was 14 when we got them their first smartphones. And before that, they passed around one of those pink flip phones. It was like a Nokia or something like
a Razor?
A Razor, that's what it was, yeah. And I didn't really know much about guardrails in terms of like how much time is recommended for the kids to stay on their smartphones, or how much screen time to have. So my go-to was like as little as possible. But earlier in the show, we had Amy Winder-Newton join the conversation in studio. She's the director of the Utah Office of Families. She was appointed that position by Governor Spencer Cox. And what they're really trying to do is give parents some, I want to just say, a recipe for hope and success when it comes to dealing with kids and their devices. And what they've done is they broken this down based on recommended guidelines from the American Academy of Pediatrics about how much time at what age your kid should be spending on a device. So we're going to talk about that for the next several minutes, and then we're going to dive into this Washington Post article, which dives into what it's like for families who've made the decision to make a tech exit and how their kids are perceiving it.
Yeah, I think we are going to see a little bit of an unconnected renaissance, right? Or an unplugged renaissance.
Interesting.
Because technology has become so pervasive, and now all this information is coming out about how it affects mental health, about how it affects physical health in terms of eating disorders, just emotional sanity, sleep, right? Like if you're on your phone at night right before you're trying to sleep, if you get on your phone the first thing when you wake up in the morning, it impacts your whole day. It impacts your ability to sleep. All this information is coming out about how devices can negatively impact our lives. So I think that, and in a world where AI is becoming more and more prevalent, I would not be surprised if we see a little bit of an unplugged renaissance where people start making very intentional decisions to not have device time at certain times of the day. And I think that's a good thing.
When my kids were born, all of them were born in the 90s, 96, 97, and 1999. There weren't these smaller like iPad type devices. But now what I see when I go to the grocery store is parents will hand their child either their phone or that
an iPad or something
to watch. And I look at that. I'm sorry, I don't mean to judge. I get it. I had kids that threw temper tantrums at the candy aisle too. I know how hard it is. It is so much probably easier to deal with a child on an iPad, and when they want to watch something, you just turn that on versus trying to fight with the child over grabbing another pack of Oreos. But one of the recommendations from the Office of Families on this list is avoid using screens as pacifiers, babysitters, or to stop tantrums.
But I thought that Amy's reasoning for that was really interesting, right? That if you're always handing your kid a device, it stunts their ability to regulate their own reaction to things. And so if you feel like you have to have a device in your hand to calm down, what is that doing to the emotional development of a kid?
Oh, yeah, like that's the go-to.
Right.
Yeah. You throw a temper tantrum, this solves the problem.
Right.
Here's another movie to watch. Here's what she brought up about, tech reliance in childhood.
It's something becoming more common. And there's a great book out there called The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. He talks about how we want kids to have a play-based childhood, not a device-based childhood. And he actually encourages parents, send your kids outside. Let them take risks. Let them climb a tree. My sister was telling me last night, my daughter wants to walk to, such and such place with her friends, and I'm really nervous. I'm like, no, let her. Like, kids are safer than we realize. Like, I know we all get a little bit nervous, but let those kids have those experiences.
Yeah, I think about when I was a kid, I was born in the 80s, and so I was started going to school late 80s, early 90s. And, I'd walk to school sometimes, and I'd, walk to the store with my friends or walk down to the bowling alley or whatever it was. There's value in playing outside. There's value in the creativity of boredom, right? Like boredom can teach you how to sort of look at the world around you. And if you always have that device in front of you, you're not learning important skills about how to exist in your own space.
So not to date myself, but I was born in the 60s, Erin. And so I grew up in the 70s. And some of my best childhood memories were playing outside with everybody on the block. Really weren't allowed to watch much television, and to cap that off, we didn't have a lot of choices on TV. And we all remember, if you grew up in the 70s, what it was like when the president was on, giving the address from the Oval Office at night. Your night was ruined, especially if it was a Little House on the Prairie night. I did not grow up with any devices. We didn't have access to computers, didn't even know smartphones were on the horizon. We walk to school, we bike to school. We always were told, however, to walk in groups.
Mhm.
We were warned about stranger danger, all the things we do today with our kids. But now we've added this other element of how do you regulate it as a parent? So part of the advice is I want to 0 to 18 months, 0 screen time. But Amy Winder Newton brought up it's okay for FaceTime with grandparents, that kind of thing. That's the kind of thing you don't want to pacify your child who's 15 months old. I'm thinking about all these cars that have movie screens in them, TV screens in them, and I see them going. And I don't know. I think the children should still be riding probably backwards in a car seat. So I don't know if these projectors project on the roof so they can watch it. But you should not be 0 to 18. They should have 0 screen time except for FaceTiming, family or friends that want to play peekaboo with them. 18 months to 2 years old, limit screen time, no solo use, and only educational materials. What I thought was really curious about that is I would have thought that my recommendation, if I were making these recommendations, would be as a mom, like 0 screen time, 18 months to 2 years old. But they're not saying 0 screen time. They're saying limit screen time. I was like, that makes sense because screens are a part of our life. So a little bit of screen time is okay, but only like educational materials. And back in the day, I would have been like, does Barney qualify for that?
Well, there are some educational materials that are excellent and fantastic and specifically created and tailored for kids of that age, right? So it's not that you can't take advantage of the good things that technology can bring to your children, but it's being extremely judicious with how it's being used and not just handing them an iPad to keep them quiet for a while, right?
2 to 5 years old, an hour per day. See, I would have loved this when I was a parent because my kids were older when they got smartphones, but I would have loved some sort of guideline, like what works in the world of, what have they found in the world of research? What have doctors found is best for a child? They're not saying never, ever, ever, but they're saying 2 to 5 years old, an hour per day, and only co-viewing with a parent or a sibling. I think it's hard as a parent sometimes to set time aside to sit down and watch a show with our kids because it's like, I got to make dinner now, or I got to do laundry, or there's always something to do on the list of things to do that never ends. I remember when my kids were growing up, I was like, the laundry's never going to end, right? Just get used to it. Just lean in. I will live for the rest of my life with my head halfway in the dryer. That's just how it is. But 2 to 5 years, only co-viewing with a parent or sibling for only an hour a day. And then over the age of 6 years and over, 2 hours max a day.
Now, one thing that's interesting to me with that is they don't have an end to that time frame. They just say 6 years and up. So when does that up? How long does that up range go?
It's hard.
Right? I mean, we were talking into your teenage years because there are all sorts of, there's all sorts of data coming out about how social media and screens affect teenagers too.
Right.
So that was interesting to me, that 6 hours plus.
6 years old and over.
6
2
years.
hours max.
Yeah.
2 hours max.
2
But they're
hours
saying
max.
that's what they say is like that's the amount that's okay for kids, and anything more than that, maybe it's leading into areas that.
Well, I'm
don't
thinking,
recommend
does
kids
that affect
be.
me? Like, should I be stuck with 2
Absolutely.
hours max? I mean, probably. Right, but
how much better do you feel when you're not on a social media app, or when you're not responding to text messages the moment they drop in? Like I've just found
it's
this horrible
huge.
habit.
Yeah,
and I think about that for our kids. And I talked about this earlier. It's not the first time I talked about this on the show. Is that the way we started to regulate it was you park your phones at night on the kitchen counter, because I don't even want to. We can't watch what you're doing overnight at all times. We're sleeping too, and our oldest daughter said thank you because she realized how often she was looking at her phone in the middle of the night, or the screen would light up and the alert would come through, and how much it was drawing her back into whether it was, whatever the social media app was that she was looking at, or a text message was coming. It's like, there has to be a shut off for our kids. And so we parked the phone. The other recommendation that the Office of Families is suggesting is avoid using screens while you're feeding your child, and then turn off all screens during family meals and outings. I love this.
Yeah, me too.
I love this. And one of our hacks was when we went into the forest, phones didn't work. And we spent a lot of time off the Wasatch Front in what's probably, back then it was considered the backcountry. I don't know. It's probably built out now because of the way we're growing. But we didn't have any access, and that meant all of it, both parents and kids. We didn't have any access to the internet, and so the phones were like basically useless. And I love that time together as a family because we shut the rest of the world off. There was a time when I remember thinking, I just want my family back. I don't want anybody else. I just want my family together.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody else interfering with their time or they're trying to grab their attention. And the same went for their dad and I. You know, we had to follow those same kind of rules, which you brought up when we were talking to Amy. Like, we model for the younger generation.
We do. And, I was on vacation not too long ago and kind of made a conscious choice that I was going to leave my phone in a different, just kind of ignore my phone as much as possible during the vacation. It went pretty well. And I was so much happier not looking at social media every day, not checking the news, not scrolling, doom scrolling. And I thought, boy, it's hard because especially if you're going to be on the radio, you got to know what the news of the day is. You got to know what's going on.
I have that issue.
But at the same time, I do find myself, now that I'm back from that vacation, trying to pattern that still and saying, okay, nobody needs me during this time. I don't need anybody else during this time. So I'm going to set my phone here. And if someone happens to call, if something happens to come through, then it can wait. And I'm going to wait and just set my phone over here and participate in the world around me. And that has been a big thing. I've also been reading a book where they talk about circadian rhythm and how when your circadian rhythm gets off, it affects your health in a number of ways. And one of the things they say is that when you sleep at night, you want your room to be as dark as possible, which means no ambient light to the extent you can possibly do it. And if that screen is sitting on if your phone's sitting on your nightstand and it's constantly going off during the night and throwing that blue light up, then even if you're asleep, even if you don't respond to it, it's still light that's entering your room that's affecting your sleep, and it's still affecting, your overall health because of it. So anyway, I'm trying to make changes in my own life to say, okay, can I reduce blue light filters? Can I set my phone aside? Can I not, it's okay if I don't get back to someone for an hour because I've put my phone over here,
Erin Ryder in with me today. We're talking about these recommendations that are, being advocated by the American Academy of Pediatrics, but also put out by the Office of Families here in the state of Utah about like how much screen time at different ages that kids should have. And we just went over the list. It varies depending on how old they are. For example, 2 to 5 years old, 1 hour a day. And only co-viewing with a parent or a sibling is a recommendation. You get to the age of 6 years old, it's 2 hours a day max. And so now as a 58-year-old, because I'm 6+ years old, I'm going to
start saying that about myself from now on. I'm 6+ years old.
So on this, so there's an opinion piece on the Washington Post that I think parlays into what we're talking about, Erin. It's written by Claire Morrell, and she's the author of a book called The Tech Exit, and it's a practical guide for freeing kids and teens from smartphones. And she goes out into the world and she speaks, what she says is dozens of families that are deliberately keeping or have deliberately kept their kids from using smartphones, social media, tablets, and also like from accessing video games. And I love what she writes here. She says, contrary to what you might think, and if I'm being honest, what I expected, their children are not isolated, odd, or antisocial. That these are normal families who have strong relationships with their kids. And that's right out of the Washington Post opinion piece that she wrote. She said the kids are not resentful. They're not resentful of being deprived of smartphones and social media. Their grown children are thankful for the technology restrictions they had during childhood. That was a huge aha moment for me.
Yeah.
That there are families out there that have made the tech exit that's deliberate. They don't allow their children access to smartphones, access to social media and other tech-type devices. And their kids are growing up and being like, thank you. I'm grateful to this.
Well, one of my very favorite books is The Art of Gathering, and it's all about how to host events and things like that. But one of the things they talk about in the book is that it's important to have rules associated with your functions. And that one of the rules she talks about is put the phones away. That when people come in, if they're coming to a dinner party or whatever it is, if you're hosting something, you have to be super explicit about it, and you have to be willing to enforce the rule. But you just say, put your phone away. And what it does is it makes everybody at the function, at the event, engaged in the event, because you're not sitting there scrolling through your phone when you get bored with a conversation. You have to participate in what's going on. And I love that idea. And I see that here in what Claire has posted in the Washington Post, that, as parents and families, you can have times where you just set a rule and say nobody's on their phone, including parents.
She said she went to a suburban neighborhood in the D.C. area, and she said it looked like something right out of the 1970s. And I can think of like the Partridge Family, the Brady Bunch, the time I grew up. She said it looked the kids are playing outside, they're riding bikes. They're building forts. I loved building forts.
Oh, I loved building forts.
Yeah.
It was the best.
And then we would get mad at each other and tear each other's forts down. But that's like conflict resolution, right? And rarely, if you
creativity.
And if you have to get mom and dad involved for that conflict resolution, you better think twice.
Yeah, they're not going to be happy about it.
Right. And actually, she said, look, they would some families would just get together in the neighborhoods and make a decision together that this is how they were going to raise their kids. I was like,
I love that the entire neighborhood is deciding that, right? Like, as a neighborhood, we're not going to do this and we're all going to come outside. I love that.
And if you can't find that, what she suggested is you email parents in your kid's school and ask them, like, hey, are you into this? Like, can we, if we're both on the same page with this, can we arrange play dates? And this is they also find workarounds for accessing like school apps, because a lot of schools lean into technology, right? Yeah, in order to see where your grades are, you have to go onto this, or see what your assignment is, you have to go onto this app, or you have to go onto this website. And they're like, they actually talk to the teachers in the school and say, we're not doing that with our kids. So can we find workarounds that make sense and that work for our kids? And schools are willing to work with these parents on that. And I'm like, so this brings us full circle to what you said at the top, that there might be what of a renaissance.
Yeah.
When it comes
to an unplugged renaissance. Yeah. No, I mean, look, I'm a lawyer, and as a lawyer, you have clients emailing you constantly. And I have found that, especially working in kind of a big law environment where you're expected to be on call all the time, every day, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I would love to see an unplugged renaissance.
Well, maybe it's on its way from what we're reading. At least some parents are making that tech exit.
It's a big moment for Debbie Dujanovic and a big moment for KSL listeners. Debbie retires after her last show Friday, and we couldn't be happier for her. And listeners, we can't wait for you to hear the all-new Inside Sources. Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson coming Monday at 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. For years now, I've been telling you about Connecticut soft water systems that use 2/3 less salt than the others. But I've never told you exactly how they do that. Well, there are several ways, so consider this as part one in a series. Most of the softeners out there use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle, and it errs on the side of cycling too often, which means it'll burn through way too much salt way too soon. Connecticut is different. It has an all-mechanical system that measures the water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating, so it cycles only when needed. The result? Connecticut delivers perfectly quality soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So why not save your lower back from carrying the 3 bags of salt when all you need is 1? Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake. Call them now, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com and tell them Doug sent you.
I am down 50 pounds in 11 weeks, and this program works. The pounds melt off. It's amazing.
I let go of 50 pounds. It felt unreal. I was so proud of myself.
Get in the best shape of your life with Soda Weight Loss.
Just 3 weeks in, and pounds are dropping off very quickly. I am down 26 pounds in 3 weeks.
Summer is right around the corner.
Your summer body starts right here because Soda's summer savings are on.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight without drugs, without hunger, and the weight stays off.
I tried other things, came to soda, just amazing.
I started on soda 8 months ago, and I have released 80 pounds now.
Summer savings, stunning results, only at Soda Weight Loss. Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. First Baptist Church says their pride flags were stolen, but it's not the first time. Pastor Curtis Price says they have banners and flags stolen or vandalized every year, but it's not going to stop them.
Particularly now, in a time when municipalities and the government are trying to ban pride flags, it seems all the more important that we display our flags.
Price says Pride Month is an important time of year for them. The congregation describes themselves as welcoming and affirming to all. The flags have been replaced and will continue to fly this month. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Washington police are expanding their search for a man accused of killing his 3 daughters.
The 3 little girls left their mother's home on Friday for a planned visit with their father, Travis Decker. Their bodies were found in the woods. Decker is on the run. He is highly skilled in wilderness survival and served in the military in Afghanistan before joining the Washington Army National Guard. Sheriff Mike Morrison.
Clearly some of the knowledge he's probably acquired throughout his lifetime, in addition to the training he might or might not have acquired through the Army, is something we're taking into consideration.
Court documents say Decker has mental health issues. Police say the girls were all suffocated. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 96 points. The S&P is up 5 points. And coming up, highs in the 80s. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
1847. Our home Utah takes shape. A century later, Utah's home champion is born. Since 1947, Whipple Service Champions has earned the trust of over 250,000 Utah homeowners, with techs who rise above to deliver award-winning heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Championing the spirit of 47, Whipple is offering $47 off any home repair or service, including drain clearings. Act now and call Whipple Service Champions at 801-896-1947 for the win today.
The KSL News Radio movie show comes to My Hearing Centers Friday from 10 to 1. But first, discover what My Hearing Centers can do for you. My Hearing Centers uses advanced technology to diagnose and treat hearing loss. These comprehensive evaluations determine the best treatment options. Then enjoy lifetime support with regular check-ins, cleaning, and maintenance. Call My Hearing Centers at 801-701-1629. 801-701-1629 for more details. My Hearing Centers has offices from Ogden to St. George.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Here's Ricky Meese.
Crews remain on the scene of this accident in Davis County. This is on the southbound side of I-15 in Layton. It is over to the right shoulder, so you're not going to see any kind of real delays from that crash. In fact, all of I-15 traffic north and southbound between Ogden and Provo moving right along. Fill up your bucket list in Box Elder County. History, recreation, and wildlife. And excellent dining and shopping await you. Learn more at visitboxeldercounty.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 81 today with a little bit of cloud coverage. Sunny skies through the weekend, though, and we'll see highs back in the 90s on Sunday. Right now it is 72 and mostly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories. On KSL News Radio, Utah's top political story. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
With Holly Richardson jumping into studio with us. She's going to be one of the new co-hosts of the all-new Inside Sources, which launches right here Monday morning at 9 a.m., 9 to noon. Weekdays right here on KSL News Radio, and Aaron Ryder is in studio co-hosting with me today. Hi, Holly. Once again, hello to you, Aaron. You really thought that this was an important story that crossed, I think it crossed, was it yesterday or just the day before, the Utah House Majority Caucus elected new leadership members. Reason for wanting to talk about this is because I felt like you really articulated it well earlier today.
Well, you know, the legislature, the Utah legislature impacts so much of what we do here in Utah. As the legislature passes bills that become laws and that then affect our lives, and the majority leadership team really has a profound impact on the direction of a lot of those conversations and the priorities that the majority caucus puts forward when they're going into a legislative session or an interim session. And so, we just lost the House Majority Leader, Jefferson Moss. He was tapped by Governor Cox to lead the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity. So he has stepped down from his House seat, which means that we had new leadership elections. The Speaker of the House remains the same, Speaker Mike Schultz, but the other positions have all changed. And I think it's great to have Holly here as a former legislator to talk about, why do we care about that?
Yeah. First, a couple of things. They didn't necessarily have to all change, just the majority leader, but anybody who wanted to run for that position who was already in a position of leadership had to step down out of that position. It's not like they had a backup plan, right? So both Casey Snyder and Carrie Ann Lisenby, who had been serving in leadership as the majority whip and assistant whip, they both had to step down from those positions to run for majority leader. And then that left 3 positions open, right? So that's why they had multiple
so it sounds
positions.
like a little bit of a domino.
Yeah.
Once that
Yeah, and you
Let's
can
say
only
some
run for
Mosley.
one, right?
Okay.
So you can say, well, I'm running for majority leader, which means you cannot run for majority whip, for example.
So there's some reasoning behind why there's this movement.
That's right. That's right. And for majority leader, Casey Snyder won. Carrie Ann Lisabee did not. But what that meant was majority whip was then open. 4 people ran for that position. Candace Perucci won. She's from Harriman. And then assistant whip, there were also 4 people in the running for that one. And Bridger Bollinger is the one who came out with that. So what you see with leadership teams is really they do speak cohesively, generally speaking, as they're talking about caucus priorities, et cetera. This is majority caucus, so the Republicans in the state. And what happens, like, I didn't know what a whip was until I was being whipped, which sounds bad, but it's not really bad. Really what they're trying to do is when the House is discussing bills, the whip or assistant whip will go around and they'll make sure that you're ready to do presentation because you're coming up next, or
to keep you in line.
They kind of whip everyone into shape.
well, it's to make sure that you're ready, right?
Ready to go.
And then there can be opportunities where it's like we've got to get all of the caucus together, and then they're whipping votes, right? Which you sometimes hear.
All right. So if you're just like, if you're not into politics, you do pay attention to what happens on Capitol Hill because it affects your family. What kind of impact do these folks have on the Hill on our everyday lives?
Well, the same as other legislators, right? I mean, so it's part of the leadership team gets to set the priorities so they can decide what bills they're going to talk about. They can decide if they're not going to talk about some.
So they will be the ones that will set the priorities for the Republican caucus.
Largely speaking, yes.
Okay, so if people care about what priorities get discussed up on Capitol Hill, this is important.
So there are some that are elected, and that's what we just saw, but there are also some that are appointed. So Representative Tusher, for example, is the chair of Rules, which is an appointed position, and he also has a fair amount of control. He has a fair amount of control over who can even get their bills out of Rules, for example, right? He doesn't have to let bills out of the Rules Committee, which is part of the whole overall process. And so he still has a position of power as well, even though he's not in elected leadership.
Do you think that, the Speaker of the House, Mike Schultz, is remaining in place as Speaker? Do you think that we see much of a difference with the Republican caucus having these other positions in there now, even though the Speaker has stayed the same?
I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of difference. And I think that's part of the appeal, right, is these are people who already support the Speaker's agenda. And from the last legislative cycle, they'll have another full slate of elections come the 2026 election cycle. And then Speaker of the House will be open as well.
We're speaking with Holly Richardson right now, as we've said all this week and last week and the week before. She's going to be taking over this time slot starting at 9 a.m. with KSL legal analyst, longtime attorney, also ran for Attorney General here in the state of Utah.
Greg Skordas, not me. Yep.
on Monday morning. Holly, you're a former lawmaker, and you also work with the Deseret News.
Editor of Utah Policies, also a thing I do right now. Yep, a newsletter.
Yeah. So you don't have very much on your plate, Holly.
That's right.
I do have one other question for you, though, and maybe this is a little bit of insider baseball, but Carrie Ann Lisabee was the majority whip, so she was in a leadership position. She lost to Casey Snyder, so she has now lost her leadership position. Does that have any impact on her ability to get her own priorities through or her reelection or anything like that? Or is that just sort of how it goes?
I don't think it really does. And that is just sort of how it goes, right? And one of the things that's interesting about leadership elections is you stop as soon as you hit 50% plus one. So you don't necessarily have to count all the votes. You don't really know for sure, how wide the margin was. You just stop. And I don't think it's going to have any significant impact on her ability to get things done. She's pretty effective.
Yeah. So you're going to give us any sneak peeks this week of what you and Greg have in store for next week, starting on Monday?
Sure. We're going to have an opportunity to talk to the Lieutenant Governor, but we'll also have an opportunity the very first day to talk to the First Lady about one of her service initiatives. So
that's great.
That'll be fun.
So you're lining people up already for the launch of the show. It starts Monday at 9 a.m. Holly Richardson, thank you so much for jumping in with us to discuss this new majority caucus, the election of the new leadership and its members. And this happens pretty regularly, but this mainly happened because
Jefferson Moss stepped down. Yeah.
Stepped down. So you'll be keeping a your finger on the pulse of all things going up on Capitol Hill, because you know so much about what the inner workings of Utah politics, having served in the legislature.
So exciting.
And being the editor of Utah Policy.
It is, Holly. It is.
Yeah, absolutely. Holly's going to stick around because straight ahead we're going to talk about what Aaron just flagged. The breakups, breakups are messy. And this one between President Trump and Elon Musk has just been elevated to a whole new level on social media. Give us a taste of what you caught just a few moments ago.
Well, we are in the middle of a very public breakup fight on X right now between Elon Musk and President Trump, which is what we want to talk about because this is live. It's happening in the moment. President Trump gave an interview where he talked about his disappointment with Elon Musk in not supporting his big, beautiful bill, and Elon Musk is now retaliating.
Oh, he's chiming in. All right. Aaron's going to break that down for us. Holly, stick around.
Okay.
We're back in a flash.
It's a changing of the guard for KSL, and that means an expanded Inside Sources for you. Debbie Dujanovic retires after her last show Friday. Huge congrats, Debbie. Coming Monday, the all-new Inside Sources with Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson. Monday at 9 on KSL News Radio.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Since 2008, Booksmart's accounting and bookkeeping has helped hundreds of clients and companies grow. Thanks to their women-led team, Booksmarts continues to earn awards and recognition from companies like Forbes and Accounting Today. Founder and owner Jenny Grober joins us with more.
Booksmarts is a women-owned and led accounting and bookkeeping firm, redefining the financial services industry by delivering remote fractional accounting support to businesses of all sizes. I started Booksmarts when I couldn't find work that fit around motherhood. That idea became a thriving team of women driving success for clients nationwide. Booksmarts isn't just balancing books, we're changing companies and communities. Whether modernizing family office operations, preparing a fast-scaling e-commerce company for aggressive growth, or supporting hundreds of franchisees nationwide, we meet clients where they are and take them where they want to go. Our impact hasn't gone unnoticed. We've been featured in Forbes, Inc., Entrepreneur, and the Wall Street Journal, and was recognized as one of 100 companies championing women. Flexible careers and high-quality accounting don't have to be mutually exclusive. That's why we're committed to helping women thrive at work while helping businesses thrive financially. Learn more at booksmartspro.com.
Booksmarts is transforming the financial services landscape by providing flexible, top-notch accounting solutions. Their commitment to supporting women in the workforce continues to make meaningful, lasting impact on communities. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
At Trio Senior Living, older adults aren't slowing down. They're just getting started. The Prime Fit Wellness Program expands wellness beyond the gym into every aspect of community life. Whatever your goals, the team at Trio Senior Living has got your back so you can put your best foot forward. Call 801-475-4004 today to schedule your personal visit.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Dave, and Dujanovic.
Let me overstate the obvious. Breakups can be messy. They can be messy, but this one just sounds like messier in the last few minutes. Aaron Ryder in with me along with Holly Richardson to talk about Elon Musk and President Trump publicly. It sounds like they're going at each other. Aaron, what do you see and where are you seeing it?
Yeah, they definitely are. So President Trump has been speaking with the German chancellor in the White House, and we have a little bit of an expanded cut of what he said there. Let's play that, Debbie, and start with that.
Sounds good.
Elon endorsed me very strongly. He actually went up in campaign for me. I think I would have won. Susie would say I would have won Pennsylvania easily. But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem, and he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars, and it really is unfair. We want to have cars of all types. Electric, we want to have electric, but we want to have a gasoline, combustion. We want to have different. We want to have hybrids. We want to have all. We want to be able to sell everything.
So here we have President Trump talking about his disappointment in Elon Musk for not supporting his big, beautiful bill. And then we have Elon Musk responding. So here we just heard President Trump saying, look, Elon endorsed me, but I would have won Pennsylvania easily. I would have won it even without Elon Musk. I easily would have won Pennsylvania. He only had a problem with this bill when he realized that we were going to cut the EV mandate. So Elon Musk responds to this.
On social?
On social.
On X that he owns.
On
yes.
X, right? And we've got, 500,000 people watching these tweets, right? And Elon says, without me, Trump would have lost the election, Dems would control the House, and the Republicans would be 51-49 in the Senate. And then he responds again and says, such ingratitude.
Oh, that was Elon's.
That was Elon's response.
It was a secondary response where you can tell he's still annoyed about this and says such ingratitude.
Well, and earlier, I caught this tweet. Elon Musk posts to his 220 million X followers, call your senator, call your congressman. Bankrupting America is not okay. Kill the bill. Speaking to the big, beautiful budget bill that President Trump is trying to get through the Senate. Holly, what do you think?
Right. Well, back to the breakups are messy, right? This one's a very public one. And I think from the very beginning, there was speculation how long would Elon Musk last in the Trump orbit. They're both very rich.
I say strong personalities.
Strong
too,
personalities,
right?
Yeah. And it's certainly been the history that people don't last super long in Trump's orbit. And here's Elon. Things went great for a while for him. And then it felt like maybe he was surprised that not everybody was on board with his style.
The Doge thing.
The Doge stuff.
Are you speaking to specifically when some members of the Trump's newly appointed cabinet started to get concerned about the firings and the emails?
Some of that, and
there's pushback on
some legislators too were starting to say, "Hey, you can't actually do this, right?" And there wasn't even the legal ability to do some of what they were doing.
Well,
and you're seeing that play out in court.
Public opinion was awful, and then people started going after Tesla dealerships.
Right.
And then,
I think
and
that
then
surprised
Tesla
him
suffered
actually
as a company, right? Their stock prices dropped. So,
I think that surprised him. But in any case, he has mostly concluded his time in the White House. But now for sure he has concluded his time in the White House because now he's trying to kill basically I think what you could call is Donald Trump's baby, right? This is what he has said from before he was all the way elected, before he was sworn in. He wanted this package of policy to be in one bill. And so that's what this is. It barely passed the House. It's sinking in the Senate, and now Elon is just going after it.
Yeah. Well, here's my question for you, Holly. Do you think, and Debbie and I talked about this a little bit earlier, do you think that Elon posting this, does he have the same influence that he had in January?
No. However, he does have some influence, right? And there's no question that he still has monetary influence over, people within the Senate where he's saying, I'm going to run somebody against you. And he does have buckets of money that he can pour into races like that. However, I will also note that within the Senate, even without Elon coming out saying kill the bill, there were people with really strong concerns about this bill. And it doesn't look like it's going to pass.
Yeah, that's been my thing about it. There are all these coalitions, even in the state of Utah, there are people who are very concerned about the direction of this bill.
Yeah.
And, very conservative lawmakers and policymakers who are concerned about it. So I think it might be hard to completely divorce Elon's influence from the coalitions that we're building naturally from it. But, I don't know. Do you think that because Elon has said he's going to pull back from political donating and political involvement. Do you think that's real?
I don't know what it's like to be uber rich, so I don't know. I mean, maybe throwing $1 million is like my change in my couch. Like I don't know for sure.
That's pulling back, yeah.
Yeah, right. That maybe he's not going to spend $100 billion, but he might spend $1 million here and there. I don't actually know, but I know that they're both really fired up today, and they're really going at it in a very public way. In fact, I just looked at Elon Musk's Twitter feed right now. He is not stopping.
Well, he's been kind of posting nonstop about this bill since it really came out, and just over and over and over again, he's been posting stuff about this.
Look, I think people had a lot of heartburn, and particularly those people who lost their jobs or found themselves out of a job or fighting for their job after Musk and Doge came on board and cuts started to happen. And I think back to the fork in the road subject line in the email. and the heart sinking that must have gone on for so many Americans who had just been hired by the federal government. But DOJ set out to cut spending, find fraud, and waste.
Right.
And then you talk about this legislation and the big, beautiful budget bill, and it has been, I think as of today, I heard the Congressional Budget Office came out and said it could add as much as $2.7 trillion over the next 10 years to the deficit.
To the deficit, yeah.
So, I mean, there are probably ways to say, like, look, we set out to do this, and yet it looks like this bill is going to do that. But again, we have two really strong personalities that have two social media platforms and can easily spar back and forth at each other.
Right. It's a new form of gladiators, right?
Well,
no blood.
And there's another interesting question here. You know, Elon Musk really has been the face of Doge since the beginning of this whole thing.
Yeah.
And he left. There was a very friendly, congenial, thank you so much, Elon. We're going to give you some award or whatever thing in the White House.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. He's still going to be involved, kind of a thing. And Doge will continue. Doge will continue. Everyone's been saying Doge will continue. Does Doge die now that the Elon Musk, Donald Trump
Yeah, and I think
relationship
it was
has died?
going to die anyway because I think it was largely led by Musk, even though, right, we have figureheads and now we have a different name, a new guy who's the supposed guy who's running Doge. But yeah, I mean, I think that movement was specifically driven by strong personalities. And I think with the strong personality walking away, one of them, I think it's going to die off.
Well, and I look at, government tries things. They do. And sometimes those things that they try are not very popular. But you try to look for an exit ramp. And maybe this is the definite exit ramp, right?
Yeah.
Just maybe they're done with Doge at this point, or maybe there'll be another version of Doge at some point.
At some point, right?
I think,
like, okay, tried this way, let's try a different way.
If you've paid taxes for like more than a season, and you see how much you're paying in taxes, you always want to know that there is not, you want to be assured there's not government
Waste, fraud, and abuse.
waste. It's
Yep,
like,
yep,
absolutely.
yep.
That makes sense.
Yep.
It makes sense to me as a taxpayer. But I think, if this doesn't work, maybe there's another way to get at this, what's maybe has a little bit more, Americans have some more taste for it than what's been going on.
Well, look, so Elon Musk posted this 8 minutes ago. It's direct response to what Donald Trump said about the EV credits. He said, keep the EV solar incentive cuts in the bill and also cut all the crazy spending increases in the big, ugly bill so America doesn't go bankrupt.
Right? We're going to be watching this all day long.
All day long.
Right?
Well, we've also Elon Musk has been reposting tweets from Donald Trump from like 2013, where Trump is calling out government spending,
have this,
and he's
we
like,
should
wise
this.
words. It's very flippant and it's very petty.
Yeah. Well, it's a very public divorce right now today.
Very public.
Yeah.
Holly Richardson, so excited for you to take over the show on Monday morning at 9 a.m.
Excited.
Get your rest. Bring your snacks.
My running shoes.
Can I make a plug that everyone tunes in to listen to Debbie's last show tomorrow?
Please
thank
do.
you.
Yeah,
It is my final 2 hours on this Friday, and I'll see you out in the lobby. We're gonna give a little celebration out there. In
Two more hours, Debbie.
Yeah,
two more
hours of this. So I'm gonna miss it, but I'm also gonna enjoy listening to you and Greg from my sofa on Monday morning. After I wake up, maybe at about 10 or 10:30. No, you know me. I'm an early bird, so look forward to it on Monday morning. Holly, thanks so much, and Aaron, thank you so much for being here with me today. I think we've had some really fun conversations.
We have, and it's been an honor to be with you on your second to last day,
Thank
Debbie.
you so much. Can we go share a bag of Doritos?
Yes,
If you didn't,
please.
if you didn't hear the 10 o'clock hour of the show, then you think, oh, I don't know why Deb's saying that, but you can go back and podcast it later.
Doritos, Skinny Pop, all Mountain Dew, the whole thing. We're going after it.
Maria Chaleos is off today, so KSL News Radio's Becky Bruce filling in for her in just a few seconds on Midday with Maria Chaleos. It's Becky, and she's up next. Looking for reliable home services you can actually count on? I've got just the team for you. Mountain Home Services. They've been serving Utah since 1954 with honest, upfront pricing and zero hidden fees. Plus, they back every job with a 100% satisfaction guarantee.
With summer heating up, now's the time to get your AC in shape. Mountain Home Services delivers fast, expert air conditioning service to keep your home cool and comfortable. And don't forget, they also handle electrical and plumbing work with the same trusted care. And here's the best part. KSL listeners get exclusive limited-time specials, but you have to call and ask. These deals won't last, so don't miss your chance to save. Call 801-543-2222 today and tell them KSL sent you. That's 801-543-2222 or visit mountainhomeservices.com. Get the service you need and the deal you deserve.
This Father's Day at Lowe's, score free gifts for the greatest dad. Right now, get a free Blackstone 8-piece accessory kit when you buy a Blackstone 28-inch griddle. Plus, get 2 free select Craftsman V20 tools when you buy an RP brushless drill and impact driver combo kit. Shop these deals and more this Father's Day at Lowe's. We help, you save. Valid through 6/15 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything! The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu!
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
The Utah RV Palooza is ready for another round of RV savings. But this time, we're hooking you up, South Salt Lake County. June 5th through the 7th, we're bringing our packed inventory of new and used RVs to you on Harriman Main Street, just south of Winco. Shop all the best RV brands fit for any budget and all at show pricing. You'll find payments starting under $139 per month on approved credit on select new RVs. And clearance pricing on all remaining new 2024s while they last. You'll also get 90 days of all play and no pay OAC. Start shopping the best deals now at UtahRVPalooza.com. And it's the only show featuring the full lineup from Wayfinder RV, available exclusively through Bish's. Plus, every RV purchase receives a free 1-year RV Fix membership, your fast track to RV service repairs. All this plus free admission to the Utah RV Palooza, June 5th through the 7th on Harriman Main Street, just south of Winco. See you in Harriman.
Based on approved credit, 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Stock number 89922. Subject to prior sale. See dealer for details. Deal number 822B426B.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products